Hello, hello. Yeah, all the kids out here, there is a workshop on creativity and AI filmmaking in Sergeant Johnson room. So if you want to enjoy going behind the scenes of a short film being made, this is a good time for you to take a peep at that. Again, creativity and AI filmmaking in the Sergeant Johnson room.
Hello. Hello, parents can be seated here. Kids are in workshop. They're doing 2 workshops in parallel. One is AI in filmmaking and 3D printing. For 3D printing, it'll be great if they have a laptop. For AI filmmaking, it's okay if they don't have. Please get seated here because we have other panels. Parents, please be seated. 3D printing is at the top. It's at Sergeant Johnson. Go. He'll take you. Parents, can you please be seated? Parents, please be seated. Where is Lakshmi? Volunteers, can you find Lakshmi? Adi, can you find Lakshmi? 3D printing is upstairs. Upstairs. Sergeant Johnson, I think. The 3D printing workshop and the AI filmmaking workshop for kids is starting in 5 minutes, and it is upstairs. Both are upstairs. She's coming? Okay. We can get the afternoon session started. All kids are in workshop.
I know, but are all the adults back here?
Adults are back.
She's there. She's calling him.
Oh, she's the one? Oh, you're the one?
Oh, yeah.
Is this everyone now?
Okay.
Alrighties, everyone. I hope you guys have enjoyed lunch. Now let's get settled in. We're gonna wait for a couple more, and I'm gonna go ahead and start us off. So, please, I would love to welcome Mr. Sri Soundarajan. He is an AI software engineer, leader, and an investor at Samsung Semiconductor. He has over 16 years building at the intersection of software developing, AI innovation, and customer-driven products design, leading groundbreaking initiatives across autonomous driving edge, compute wearable, and the Intel Evo platform. Sri has built and has led high-performing global teams delivering AI solutions across computer vision, large language models, and multi-model interreferencing. And today, he's here to challenge us to think about what it really means for a nation to own its AI future. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Sri.
Thank you. I hope you understood all of that. Thank you. All right, artificial intelligence, the ever-changing, ever-moving, changing by the minute core technology, and it is still the most important asset that every enterprise needs. The key word is asset, so which means that we need to know how to protect this asset, how to govern this asset, and how to make this asset grow businesses around it. And that is the core of my topic, sovereign AI, okay? What is sovereign AI? So the current global AI landscape states that we are going to use AI through APIs. Token as a service has been used pretty much across every single industry right now. There's a lot of vendor lock-in. There are a lot of data privacy risks that come along with vendor lock-in. And that is why organizations, governments, regions are all moving into. I see, okay. Yeah, just like what Lakshmiji said, sovereign AI means that I gotta be in a specific spot and govern my AI talk, right? So organizations are moving into this dynamic development mode, and they want to control the deployment. They want to build strong governance around this deployment, and that's why we want to go into this AI factory model, which is kind of hidden in the slide, but it's not hidden out there in the organizations today, right? So what does that mean? What are the facets of sovereign AI? What does AI factory mean? So what AI factory means is that we need to ensure that the data that's used within enterprises, the models that are being used within enterprises, the compute on which these models run on, all needs to be governed. And the talent that's developing these core technologies, be it AI or agentic AI or human, should also be governed, right? That is what global sovereign AI is. And today, Fortune 500 companies are adopting this, mainly because they want AI to exclusively work on proprietary corporate IP, right? And like I mentioned, all models, data, and infrastructure needs to be within this specific jurisdiction. At this point, I think each and every one of you will have the question, why are you talking about this to me? Right? So I'm going to get into this onion Aparajit mode and try to explain this entire core technology in very simple terms, okay? So let's go with that. I'm going to take a very, very simple use case that every single enterprise uses today, which is document intelligence. What does document intelligence mean? Say you want to read a book and you want to answer a quiz or write a test, right? What did you do before AI and what did you do after AI came into your lives, right? So before AI, what we used to do is we used to go to the library, we used to go to a room of books and essentially go through every rack and find a book and try to see what is relevant information on that book to what topic I am reading, right? This is what we were doing before 2012 with enterprises building databases around us, right? And then came along machine learning and deep learning aided lookup. So here, what we said is, okay, we'll build models which already knows which books I need to go and look into so that the relevant information is there, and then we can answer the questions in a much more satisfactory way, right? So this filters the noise, essentially. And then came LLMs and semantic search. As one of the talks today mentioned about attention is all you need, which came in 2017, that changed the entire life of what we are living in today. And what LLMs did is that instead of looking at books and pages, it is basically going to open the specific pages that relate to what you're looking for, okay? You all are with me so far? Perfect, thank you. Now, then came retrieval augmented generation in the 2021-2022 timeframe, where we said that, okay, paragraphs are not enough, books are not enough, I need to use highlighted paragraphs, essentially, in order to find out the relevant information. And that was retrieval augmented generation. And then in 2023, the industry took us by surprise. We got something called as agentic RAG, right? Now they said, just reading a book or reading paragraphs or reading sentences is not enough. Now I need experts. I need experts to understand what that is and tell me what that is. And I want this to happen in parallel. So all this deep research came into picture, and that's what drove the entire agentic RAG ecosystem into our lives. And then came collaborative multi-agent systems in 2024, right? So what they did is that, okay, fine, we have experts now, but we don't want to rely on one expert. I need multiple experts in here, right? I need to put all of these experts into a conference room, and then I need them to debate amongst themselves, and then give me the answer, right? So that way it's deeply vetted. Now, the natural progression of all of this is that we are going to get into a world where, I cannot click my slide, where there is going to be multi-agent, multi-cloud distributed intelligence, okay? The reason why these needs to be unsupervised is because if you have a group of experts in a conference room, you will get one answer out of it. But imagine the whole world where you can have tons of conferences happening in parallel. In such cases, you can get deeply vetted, and at the same time, you can have a shared intelligence model, right? And this is exactly why all these multi-cloud systems need to be sovereign, because if you don't protect the data sharing, the model sharing, and the infrastructure usage between all of these clouds, what you're going to get is one big conglomerate of all of intelligences, which is not going to make any sense, right? You need to protect your data, right? And again, going back to my onion Aparajit mode, this is nothing but this is just like YAiS, right? You have posters, you have demos, you have talks over here, you have panel discussions over here. Why? There is one objective, which is to inspire innovation. And here, we are not sharing just data all around, but we are sharing intelligence in a very, very specific sovereign way, in such a way that data is not being leaked out of any of these intelligence sovereign blobs, essentially. Okay? Now, the next question that you guys probably would ask me is, okay, fine, that's all great, but what's really happening out there in the industry? I'm not going to go through each and every one of these new segments over here, but this is what has been happening in the last 6 months. I've been an investor in Angels, which is an investment syndicate. I've invested in over 7 tech AI startups in the last 6 months. And I can tell you that this is a pace at which the sovereign AI is moving. This pace is unprecedented. I've never seen this kind of movement in the industry ever before, right? Every single organization, every single enterprise want to own AI. NVIDIA and Palantir are building sovereign AI operating system. UAE is building their own. Australia is building their own. Canada is building their own. India is building their own as well. This sovereign AI is moving from a concept to reality very, very, very fast, okay? Now, the commonality between all of this is that there are words in here that describe solutions as truly sovereign. I have never heard of any organization that would market a solution saying that it's falsely sovereign. Fully sovereign. Where have you heard of organizations or products that are partially sovereign or semi-finally sovereign, finally sovereign? Every time an adjective is used in front of a noun or a verb, or adverb used in front of a verb, it means that there is no clarity. So we need proper regulations, we need proper certification around standardizing sovereign AI, okay? I hope this can click through. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Now, if you're asking me, are there no standards today in order to go and administer sovereign AI, build businesses around sovereign AI? There are a few, but all of these specific standards today are very basic. They talk about data privacy. They talk about infrastructure usage. The EU AI Act talks about how to administer AI within specific regions, but there are a lot of gaps. In sovereign AI, like we mentioned, the facets of sovereign AI talk about data, models, and infrastructure, which means that you need an air-gapped infrastructure. Where is that air-gapped infrastructure? It is not there today. That's a big gap because we don't have proper standards driving what is meant by this air-gapped infrastructure, right? There needs to be a verifiable data lineage, and most importantly, there needs to be a kill switch. In business, we always say that we have to look at where the liability lies, right? It's very easy to build a product today with all of the tools that we have today, and you young entrepreneurs over here, you know this really well. With Claude or Gemini or anything like that, we can build products very easily today. But building businesses, very difficult. And the reason why building businesses are difficult today is because we don't have certifiable framework towards data privacy and sovereign AI usage. And that is where we need to fill the gap. And then, this is my last slide, essentially. So please demand standards, and especially entrepreneurs who are working with data, right, especially in the edtech domain. Please do a data audit. Look at your supply chain. Look at what APIs you're using, which cloud your data is going into, where it's going to reside. What are the privacy concerns around those, right? And audit your supply chain. And finally, if you're interested in essentially contributing towards standardization of sovereign AI, please do reach out to me. And I'm working with a few companies in the area in order to build a strong standard around sovereign AI. And that's my LinkedIn. And that's about it. Thank you all. Thanks for listening.
Thank you again, Mr. Sri. And now I would love to welcome Mrs. Manisha Gupta. She will be our moderator. She focuses on AI strategy, adoption leader at the Oracle. And she has over 2 decades building and scaling products across enterprise and startups, including leadership roles at Oracle, LinkedIn, eBay, and Cisco. Manisha works at the intersection of artificial intelligence, people intelligence, and decision making, helping organizations turn AI into measurable business value. She will now be leading a powerful conversation today with 4 other speakers, which will be Ms. Sonia Kadiyal, Deepak Ramola, Asra Khan, and Pravin Kaipa.
Oh, that's fine. She's going to introduce them.
Oh, she is? Okay.
Thank you so much. Just 1 second, we're just seeing if we should move the chairs so you don't have to look at the table. Yeah, can Sonia and Asra? Sonia is here. Is Asra here? Okay. I guess we'll just get, everybody has a mic? Do you know where Asra is? No. Well, welcome everyone. So we have one more person, Asra. If she joins, we will just continue with the conversation. So we already talked a lot about AI, I'm assuming this morning. Hey, Asra, you can take a seat there. All right, so I'll just say a little bit. I think, thank you for the introduction. I'll pass on the mic and we'll talk about what each of us does and why we are here today. But I'm going to say I'm a technologist. My journey started hardcore engineering, product management. I've been leading a product called People Intelligence for Oracle. And essentially the focus of that product was how do we bring the intelligence out of people to make a company profitable in a sustainable manner, right? So in a nice way. Then AI came. So I started focusing a lot on AI and I. So in the land of AI, when AI is evolving and I am evolving as a human being, how do the two coexist? Then we started talking a lot about intelligence is becoming so easy, right? You ask a question today, I saw like I don't know, he was almost like a little bit older than a toddler who was asking a question so confidently. Like every single soul in this world, doesn't matter age or where they are doing something or the other with AI. They may not even know what they're doing, right? So the question really goes to, if intelligence becomes so abundant, you ask a question and before you can finish it, you have 5 answers in front of you. How do you decide what's right? So one question for all of us to maybe ponder on today is, as intelligence becomes abundant, what is the differentiator? All of us will have a sea of sameness, tons of answers. How do you decide what's right, what's wrong? And that is the point which excites me a lot about this panel today, because I think in my history, I'm pretty old. First time I'm not talking only to technologists. I'm talking to Deepak, who talks a lot about wisdom, Sonia, who's a lawyer, and who's next? We have Praveen, who's a Stanford professor and AI technologist, and we have Asra, who's a youth entrepreneur leader, right? So we're going to jump. We have only 20 minutes, so I'm going to be very sweetly strict, if it's okay. We will jump. So no technologist except me, and I'm not a part of the panelists. So hear them out, because you'll probably get really wonderful new ways of thinking, which are going to be much more real and applicable on different aspects, right? So very quickly, I'm just going to ask one question, and just to tie break, quickly answer, what is responsible intelligence for each of you?
I'm going to start that way.
Yeah, put me on the spotlight. Okay, so responsible intelligence, since we work in the youth space, and I think in the earlier session today as well, people were talking about, oh, the young people are going to use AI for like cheating on their exams or like trying to just get good grades. But I think this is where UC Berkeley puts its AI code of conduct into place, which is where you can use original thought, you do not use AI. So for creativity, for communication, that's something Neeru has been talking about in the morning as well. It's like using it responsibly is how it lets your creative juices flow, how you actually use it as a thought partner instead of like an AI assistant, as it has been labeled every time. So when you use it as a thought partner, it tells you the flaws in the system or the problems that you're trying to solve if you are thinking of it as an entrepreneur. So yeah, I think I will say using AI responsibility will be synonymous to using it for thought partnership.
Can I just request you to say one thing about yourself as you, like, who are you, just for one line?
Okay, so I'd say I'm a software engineer turned educator. I worked in tech for a few years, then working with youth, education, helping them solve problems around them is what made the switch to education, and since then I have supported innovation labs and accelerators with entrepreneurship curriculum and did my own edtech startup for a while before moving to the US.
So I believe that technology should be used to enhance human equity, creativity, and connectivity. And I think we have a real opportunity here to be able to change the way that we operate in the education system. Education, I believe, for too long has been focused on grades, rote memorization, and standards-based tests and assessments. And I think we have an opportunity here to change to have a paradigm shift within education towards more skills-based learning and to show students a practical view of how we can use this information that we have at our fingertips now. Because you can Google anything, you can ChatGPT anything, Gemini, Claude, whatever you want to call it. But the reality is, purpose is what drives us now. And I've been teaching for 15 years all over California. I've taught English language learners, students with special needs, students who are taking AP tests, students who are high socioeconomic backgrounds, low socioeconomic backgrounds. And the commonality is this, that engagement comes from purpose. And if we can give our students and our families and our people purpose, then responsible intelligence will come with that. And then just a little bit about myself. I've been teaching for 15 years. I'm an AI for Equity Fellow this year. I believe that AI should be used, like I said, to enhance human equity, creativity, and connectivity. And I try to strive to provide my students with opportunities to use their creativity every day, because I believe creativity is just intelligence having fun.
Thanks so much. It's really great to be here with all of you on this unusually rainy day. My name is Sonia Katyal. I teach at the law school here at Berkeley. And I suppose I probably have the most, I think, incongruous story compared to many of you. I was actually trained as a civil rights lawyer when I was in law school, which was so long ago that it was before the onset of the internet. So I trained as a civil rights attorney, and it was actually after my graduation from law school, when I was clerking for a federal judge, that I started to see the first cases kind of emerge around the internet. And I started to realize that all of the things that I cared about with respect to equality and due process and privacy were kind of emerging in this new space of tech. So I immediately pivoted, and I started thinking about kind of civil rights in this new space of technology. And that is kind of the story that has sort of led me to doing work on AI. So in my work on AI, I think about a couple of different things. Number one, and this relates to kind of designing responsible AI, one of the things that I think a lot about the responsibility of regulation. How do we design regulation to be more attentive to the kinds of needs and concerns of the everyday consumer, but also the needs and concerns of individuals who are seeking to get information from private businesses about how their AI standards or their AI practices are operating. So I do a lot of work on intellectual property. One of my main areas is on trade secrecy and trying to figure out how to get companies to be a little bit more public-facing about the often secretive and proprietary AI practices that they engage in that implicate many of us as citizens. And then the other thing that I think a lot about when I think about designing systems of responsible AI is the public, right? So how do we empower the youth of America? How do we empower individuals to think critically about the AI practices that they engage in? And also, how do we empower businesses to take things one step further than simply what the law requires? So as someone who studies law, I can see that our regulatory frameworks are very well developed in the EU. They're less developed here. We certainly see challenges at the federal level with respect to the commitment of regulating AI. And so how do we encourage businesses to think more critically about the AI practices that they're engaging in? And so I would say that one part of that is not about just the role of law, but it's also about the role of ethics, and it's about the role of kind of thinking beyond what is merely required to thinking more broadly about what does it mean to be responsible, what does it mean to be transparent, and so on. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Hello, my name is Deepak Ramola, and I deeply love potatoes, people, and possibilities, in that order. I say that because probably that's one part of my life you can't Google. And in a room where we're talking about AI, I think it's very important to talk aspects of ourselves that are rooted in our own stories and experiences. I teach at Stanford a course called Designing Your Life. And I have studied for the last 17 years how people become wise and what lessons we learn from our lived experiences across different communities in the world. Responsible intelligence to me means exactly what it has meant even before AI, to be accountable, to have ownership of how your knowledge interacts with the world around you, how it serves the communities that you are a part of, and even names and faces that you have no connection with on a day-to-day basis. How does your work, your life, your decisions impact? For the first time, I think, in human history, in such a tangible way, we get to see intelligence outside of ourselves in some technological, tangible way. And so we can look outside ourselves to be able to take that responsibility, but I think it's also a dual play of, and now what will you do with your own intelligence? How accountable will you be with the tools you create, with the vibe coding that you're experiencing? What will result out of it that doesn't just serve you, but serves people around you in a way that benefits their life and scaffolds their learning?
Awesome. So, well, we are talking about AI, but we covered creativity, we covered purpose, we covered governance, and we covered wisdom. They are not normally things you talk about in a room full of AI folks. So hopefully you are registering those things. I'm going to ask every one of you a question. How many of you are using AI today? How many of you know how AI decides what answer to give you or how to do its job? Okay, so the room hands fell 50%, right? And that gap in your, if I ask Deepak, hey Deepak, what should I eat today? Maybe I'll get potatoes, but I can ask, why the hell do you think I should eat potatoes? If I ask AI, it will keep answering your questions, but you don't know where AI is coming from. You don't know where the wisdom is, you don't know what the governance is, you don't know what the purpose is, and you don't know what the creativity or the, what was the reason why it did what it did. And I think it's one way of looking at responsible intelligence, if I can summarize from this panel, is take charge yourself, dig a little deeper. If I'm using LLM, if I'm using whichever, Claude or Gemini or OpenGPT or WhatsApp, doesn't matter. YouTube has a lot of good videos also, sometimes random, but take some time to understand what is happening behind the scenes. And there's a lot of people who are doing a lot of content to really make things simple, like we just heard in the discussion right before us. Okay, so with that, we have 6 minutes and 50 seconds, so it's going to be really, really quick. And I'm going to ask a specific question from each of you. I'm going to start with you, Praveen. You are the professor in the room, oftentimes, and you're talking about AI. Is the old way of learning and the old way of grading still applicable today?
No. I don't think that it's applicable. I think, especially in my classroom, whenever we finish a unit, I think it's important to have like a portfolio where they can show their parents, their fellow educators, or admin, hey, this is what I learned, because I think you're 10 times more likely to learn something if you can teach it to somebody else.
Okay, so from learning, we are going to move to wisdom, if it's okay. And you have been, from what I understand about you, you've been like really traveling the world and understanding what wisdom is. Now with AI, answers are on my fingertips and intelligence is everywhere. What is wisdom in the era of AI?
For the longest time, we've seen wisdom as either an abstract virtue or a dogmatic principle in religion or philosophy. In the last decade, cognitive science, neurobiology, my own work in anthropology has sort of told us invariably from across domains that wisdom is actually a super skill. It's made out of 6 sub-skills that are very, very human, from perspective taking to dealing with uncertainty, to having emotional stability, to being reflective, having an understanding of self, to pragmatic knowledge of life, how to file your taxes, how to measure things, how to pay money. And last and most important distinction between intelligence and wisdom, which is pro-social attitudes, thinking about common good. An intelligent person may think about the good of others. A wise person has to think about the good of others. And to answer your question about the role of that AI in our sense, in my classroom at Stanford, I'll give you a very concrete example how this has shifted. A student came to me last quarter and said, I don't want you to grade me on my essays. I want you to grade me on who I am as a person in this classroom. And he said, here are my 4 indicators, one of which is, do I have a presence in this classroom? And he said, AI is helping me be very articulate with my assignments. I got all that covered. I don't need your feedback. But how do people experience me? I can't ask AI. So I feel like that quality of human expectation and human engagement and how people relate to your identity, your vibe, your presence, and just what you make them feel in the micro instances is something that we still need to work a lot on. So AI can create a great profile and personality test for you, but how does that play out in real room? You still need to ask people and hopefully create more avenues.
Thank you. I think we need to automate your wisdom in some ways. And let me come to you, Sonia, like AI and transparency, right? So how can we make things more transparent? So maybe some aspects of what Deepak just talked about becomes part of life, and maybe we can trust it a little bit more?
Yeah, so along with the idea of presence, I guess I think about technology in a bunch of different ways when it relates to transparency. But I think one of the most important things that I've learned in the work that I've done on technology, information, and regulation is that, the early builders of the internet were particular kinds of revolutionaries in ways that I feel are so deeply emblematic of why so many of us are drawn to tech. I think that was, and there still is, a tremendous commitment to openness through open source, through different ways of kind of figuring out how to connect knowledge and share knowledge and build knowledge to build great products. And I think that we're all the beneficiaries of that. The Googles, the Microsofts, whatever, are the product of that kind of openness. So I think we could think about transparency on that level as kind of a technical layer of sharing knowledge. But then how do we think about transparency on sort of a personal level? And here's where I actually think that AI literacy is one of the most important tools to have in your toolbox. So we all, as people who use AI, we think a lot about different kinds of products. Do we often think about the data that those products are trained on, whether or not the data is sufficiently diverse? Is it representative of the diversity of our own human experiences? How can we ask questions when decisions are derived from AI about how those decisions were reached and on what kinds of data these AI systems were trained on to reach these certain decisions? Certainly in the work that I do, I see a real disparity between individuals that are of a higher socioeconomic layer and those who are less privileged. People who, for example, are in the criminal justice system, or people who receive social service benefits, or people who are more governed by the sort of everyday social services of governance. They're often reduced to numbers. They're often subject to regulations, decisions, and restrictions. And they are often sort of the most vulnerable and the most important to empower with traditions of AI literacy. And so when I think about transparency, I think about it as not a one-size-fits-all situation. I think about it as tied to the relationships that we all have with our individual, local, and federal governments, but also the kind of information that we need to decide for ourselves how we want AI to govern us.
Thank you, Sonia. Asra, we are short of time, but tell us what, you're dealing a lot with the young entrepreneurs, right? So with transparency, wisdom, what can a young founder today do to feel, or at least know, that whatever they're building with AI is actually going to be good for human?
Talk to humans. I think this is a mistake that I see a lot of young founders doing, is that it's so much easier to build now. But what is hard is to find evidence that what you're building is going to work in real world context, through wisdom, through governance. Is it the right way to build it? We know that these tools are making so easy to be a founder, but the real challenge is, how do you distribute? And sometimes we do see, so this is an exercise that we do with our students. It's called customer discovery, where they go out and they have to interview 5 people every week. And we say AI, as it's all turned out to be like applied intention, or now we like to call it actual interviews, is like you're talking to these people. And we say that it's not something that you can achieve with a survey. Because when you're speaking to someone, you look at their eyes, you look at what gets them nervous, what makes them happy when you're talking about your problem. So this is an exercise we did, and we are incredibly proud of how these young students who are doing this coursework that is planned for our MBA class. So they come in, we said, okay, we're going to pilot this with you. And then they go and put all of these learnings that they're getting from these interviews into an AI system that tells them, okay, I can find some patterns there. I can find that the pain that you were feeling or the job that you were trying to solve for your customers is not what you were thinking, but you can actually do this. And the feedback that we get from our students, that it helped us in the creativity piece of it to understand, we did not think about this customer segment, or we did not think about using this consumer channels. And then they end up making those YAiS pivots or iterations. If they were making something for athletes, they realize, oh, it can actually work for senior citizens. And I think that's where the whole human edge of intelligence comes into place, that YAiS is really about, like, question, think, innovate. And this is what you all young entrepreneurs have to do. First talk to humans and then build.
Thank you, everyone. So I'm just going to ask one quick question. We are off time, but one question for all of you, so that these people get a second to think about their answers. What is one thing you will never fully outsource to AI? So think about it. Once we are done, I would encourage you to share it with the person sitting next to you. Think hard. And with that, who's ready to give the answer? Quick, quick, quick. One thing you will never give to AI fully.
Community building and finding people for our programs.
Okay.
Showing care for the students and the people in the room.
Love.
the tussle of what to make for dinner. I love, yeah, I love, I know it seems so cumbersome, especially here in the Bay Area since I started living. It seems like a productivity thing to navigate, but I was chatting with somebody over at lunch. I think just that one human thing to go with the uncertainty of what to make for a family of 2 or a single person or 3 people, just to deal with that uncertainty, I think it's the greatest simulation to deal with life and to arrive at an answer that leaves you nourished and satisfied. And if we take that away and ask ChatGPT to prepare a year-long meals calendar, we let go of asking people in the house and ourselves, what do I really want now? Not for optimization, but for nourishment and honesty and authenticity.
I have to say, when we hear you speak, the wisdom shows.
Meet my parents.
So my answer is going to be meeting friends. I am known for just walking my dogs and making random conversations, and they start coming to home for dinners, and before you know, my daughter is sitting right there. And they give me a lot of food for thought, which converts into these kind of books which I write. So I think making friends. Yeah, but thank you. We are out. Kannan is showing me the hand, but please do tell your neighbor what was your answer for what you will never fully outsource to AI and why. Thanks, Kannan.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you all for being here. All right, hello everyone. Thank you so much to that panel of speakers. I think we had a lot of very interesting opinions come out there. So thank you all for being here. So to move on, the next person who's going to be presenting is going to be, can we pull up the slide please? Kinnari Jangla. Kinnari is a senior engineering manager at Meta Reality Labs, working on AI in augmented reality and virtual reality, previously leading generative AI image and video at Meta AI. She spent over 15 years building systems at Meta, Pinterest, Uber, and Microsoft, which makes her exactly the right person to walk us through the rapid evolution of AI. Thank you so much, Kinnari. The stage is yours.
Here you go. Thank you. Thank you, guys. The clicker? Perfect. Awesome.
It does sometimes, you sometimes need to click it twice.
You got it. Thanks. Hey, folks. Thank you. Thank you, Aryan. Hey, guys. My name is Kinnari. I am, as Aryan mentioned, in engineering leadership at Meta. I've been here for a while and been in several different companies before that, but most recently I've been working on Reality Labs, and I have 2 kids. I'm a mom, and it's very inspiring to see a room full of kids and parents here to, give and pass on the knowledge of what we know. But yeah, I'm here to speak about what is going on. What's this AI? It's like such a buzzword, and sometimes like, stop it. I don't want to hear about it anymore. But what happened? What happened today? And why is it happening now? And 2 things Lakshmi told me, are you going to talk about the same thing you spoke back in December at the AI Kiran event? And I was like, no, that's completely irrelevant now. And it's only been 3 months, not even. So that's how fast this whole thing is moving. And I just want to say one thing. I think in our lifetimes, we don't really witness too many world-changing events. In my lifetime, the last one I know of is when mobile phones came. When I was growing up, I didn't have a phone. And then in my 20s, I got a phone, and I saw how every person in the world started getting a phone, no matter who you were going to talk to. And that was a big shift in how the world transitioned. And I think that was the first event, and this is the second event, where the world is fundamentally shifting in the way it works. And it's ongoing, and we're witnessing it today. And we're a part of it. And that's how I see it. And so it's so important to be and hop on the train. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind. I'm going to talk about that today. You know, in 2020, this has been the last 6 years, actually, right? In 2020, there was this impressive text prediction that came in, right? You write a text, you say, how are you? And you get a prediction, whether it's today or it's doing, and that was pretty cool. It was like, you know, AI basically predicting what you're probably going to say based on the data it learns, right? After that, we had a bunch of chat bots where you ask them a question, it gives you an answer. Not like Google search, but a little bit better version of it, aggregated results, which is pretty cool. You didn't have to go to do the work yourself. It's just aggregating it for you, making sense of it. And then, you know, there was this long context agentic framework that came in where there are agents who are like people who do the work for you. And that's the world we are in today, right? But why not last year? Why not the year before that? This year, code became cheap, right? Building became cheap. That was one of the most expensive things a few years ago. And today, it's nobody's intimidated by engineering. Nobody's intimidated by how am I going to build this? It's the most easiest thing. So, you know, research, you wanna do anything, analyze something, deep research is becoming a thing. You don't really need to worry about that either. Data analysis is so much intuitive, so much easier. And then now, AI has also married the physical world, right? I don't know how many of you have a Ray-Ban Meta or any kind of hardware device. Yeah, and it's really picking up. And, you know, it's a very easy real-time assistant, right? You say, hey, what am I looking at? I'll tell you. I go for walks with my children, the very curious kids, like, hey, mom, what's that tree? What's that plant? You don't have to think about it twice. Hey, Meta, you know, what am I looking at? Very good, very easy, multimodal translations, look and translate, right? And it's pretty cool how AI has become a thing that you can use.
This is Meta Ray-Ban Display. These are glasses with the classic style that you'd expect from Ray-Ban, but they're the first AI glasses with a high-resolution display and a whole new way to interact with them, the Meta Neural Band. The display is large enough to watch a video or read a thread of messages. It appears in one eye, it's slightly off-center so it doesn't block your view, and it disappears after a few seconds when it's not in use so it doesn't distract you.
Yeah, so this is the new world, right? You wear it anywhere you go. A lot of people wear it as their primary glasses or sunglasses. The AI aspect of it is that it's voice assisted. So like I said, when you say, hey, Meta, it's going to listen, right? There's handwriting recognition. You don't need a keyboard. It's actually, you don't even need voice. If you're in a public setting where you can't speak, you have your handwriting. It's one of the most coolest devices I've seen. Multimodal is a big thing. It not only listens to you, it's not only voice, but it's also recognizing what it's looking at. But there is a world in which it's going to be an always-on assistant, right? Hey, what am I looking at? Is it my food? What's the nutrition? Nutrition logging is such a big thing these days for fitness enthusiasts. But that's the world we're in, and very soon, what does we have robots. Who won't like a robot who's constantly cleaning their house, right? I'm ready to pay a boatload of money for that kind of stuff. But how did this happen? So these are all the advances we saw in AI, but what really changed? Why wasn't it last year? Why wasn't it the year before that? Because AI existed. And two things happened, right? One is that the foundational models took a very big leap, right? The training data, the transformers, the scale at which this is happening is phenomenal. But the other thing that happened is that the infrastructure became accessible and cheap, right? Chips and the GPU compute clusters, we all have access to it. It's not just enterprise companies or big companies that can that have the money to spend. We all have it in our fingertips. And that is the biggest thing that has happened in the last 6 to 9 months, where the models are so much better, but they're also so much cheaper to deploy on your device, right? And I think these are the two things. But in all this, what is the next wave? What is coming up, right? Today, we already have multimodal assistants. Multimodal is basically all kinds of text, speech, media, voice. They run everywhere. Now, AI has also married the physical world. There's the glasses, but there's also robots that are coming. And then, soon enough, we're going to see problems like we already are: reliability, privacy, job transition, and so on and so forth. So for a room full of kids, what is the key message over here? Right? I think that Jensen Huang, the NVIDIA guy, he posed a very good framework of task versus purpose. A task is a repeatable activity, and purpose is the reason those tasks exist, right? And so he said that for a software engineer, you should not only be able to solve problems but find the problems to solve, right? And if you're going to look for someone to tell you what to solve, you're definitely getting replaced, right? If you're looking for your manager or someone else who's been in this industry to tell you, hey, go code this up, that's something that an agent will do for you, right? And so task is something that's very discrete, it's repeatable, but the purpose is the reason these tasks exist. And so the message here is, will we not have jobs moving forward? Is our agents taking our jobs away? No, but there is a transition in the way you think. The discrete steps, for a radiologist, for a doctor, looking at the image and scanning an image is not the job, it's the diagnosis. The diagnosis is still going to be there. It's the way the diagnosis happens becomes easier and more predictable. But that's my time. Thank you very much. I'm Kinnari Jangla, and please reach out to me if you need anything. I'm at kjangla@gmail.com. Thank you.
Third slide? Yeah. Okay. I can knock the signals on stage. Just be a little bit slow getting to the third slide, and then I'll figure it out. I'm just getting everyone across. Across the you, and we can stop one more person. And then we just go upstairs. You can go out, take a left, upstairs, go up. Mentor student, anywhere. Just get another person with you. When the slide All right, once again, hello everyone. We are going to be welcoming our next presenter. First of all, thank you so much, Kinnari, for that presentation. Arvind Sanjeev is an award-winning designer and artist on Google's XR team, where he futurecasts through a fusion of design, art, and technology. With work featured in the New York Times, Fast Company, and BBC, and from founding DIY hacking in India to building the world's first mixed reality flashlight, he spent his career at the edge of human-computer interaction. Also, if you checked out his demo during the break, that's some of the coolest stuff I've ever seen anyone do with AI. I know so many people that are artists that are worried about losing their jobs to all of this, and then you see people that are taking this technology and fusing it with sort of these traditional mediums from the 80s, and I think it's genuinely wonderful. I would highly recommend that you guys go and check that out later. All right, thank you so much, and we'd like to welcome Arvind onto the stage.
got it, cool. Yeah, maybe here. Okay, thanks, Ashwin. Yeah, so I'm an artist and creative technologist. I love to experiment with physical, tangible objects and trying to kind of like have multi-sensory experiences. That's what I love to create. I am currently in the Google XR team working on building the AI glasses with a few of our partners. And yeah, I'm originally from Kochi, Kerala in India. Let me see if this works. No. Can you go to the next slide? Sweet. So for this talk, I wanted to use this theme called co-creating with the machine, where I wanted to show mainly 3 projects that I worked on. So one of them looks at a new way in which you can create experiences that are shareable, but still augmented reality that exists outside screens, using light to kind of create these kind of social shareable experiences with people around you. The 2 other projects on the bottom are different kinds of physical AI experiments that allow you to imagine and interact with AI in a new way outside screens, using these kind of like tangible interfaces that tries to intentionally slow down our interaction with AI. Next slide. So this is Lumen. Let me see if I can set up a demo. Right. So Lumen is basically an augmented reality projector. It tries to take these AR experiences that you have in your headsets or your phone apps and tries to kind of like overlay it on the world around you. So this is kind of like a graffiti experience that I made where you can try to draw in space using light. And whatever you draw in space kind of remains locked there, right? So you can imagine different kinds of experiments. It's kind of like a digital spray can in that sense, right? So you can leave notes, right? Write small pieces of stories, and you can have other people kind of like discover them for you. I'm not really good in drawing with one hand and a microphone, but and yeah, so there are like a lot of different applications of this, right? Like some of people have also drawn like lines on the floor, right? And you can use that as kind of like map lines to kind of like find where you need to go to in space. And it takes you to all these different spatial points, allowing you to reveal hidden stories. I can show you a few more examples. Excellent. So one of the main reasons that I made or worked on this project with my team was we're trying to imagine how we can make these kind of like AR, VR experiences much more social, right? When you're in your headset, only the person wearing the headset can essentially see what you're seeing. So we wanted to imagine how we can create these kind of like socially shareable AR, VR experiences. So this is one application that I just showed you right now, like an AR graffiti application. Here we gave it to an artist who's trying to create new avatars on top of his existing mural artwork. So there's like a mural on the wall that he's already made, and he's trying to sketch and prototype new versions of that same avatar using light, right? And there's like a lot of people also gathered around him so they can see this process in real time. So this is an experiment in classrooms where we wanted to take educational experiences outside screens and iPads and tablets, right? So we had this classroom overlaid with all these interesting, fun, educational moments. So birds come out of the books and fly into the classroom, and you can find them using the flashlight, right? And kids have much more engaging experiences in the classrooms. Next slide. This is an experiment where we try to turn your home into an escape room, right? Like you can have all these mysterious objects hidden in your room. There's like a bloody murder weapon hidden in your drawer, right? So all these kind of gamify the experiences in your home, turning these mundane environments into fun spaces that you can interact with. And this is one in a museum where it's trying to reveal hidden stories and invisible stories in the world around you. All these Egyptian hieroglyphs and Greek sculptures used to be so colorful when they were made, but the color drained off and washed away, right? So we made this experience where you can like see the actual colors by shining lumen and the flashlight on them. This is a story of how we made it. So it started off as a design project that I worked on in 2017 as part of my master's in interaction design at the Copenhagen Institute of Interaction Design. It actually started as a normal-looking flashlight. the one you see there. Just like how a flashlight you can use in the dark to find your way in the dark, right? We used to play with it in our childhood. We used to make shadow stories, right? We used to make shadow puppets with it. We used to use it to kind of like reveal all these invisible things around us. So that's why I use the metaphor of a flashlight to reveal hidden stories around you. We went through a bunch of different prototyping. There's a much more complex prototype that came in the middle, which was basically a VR headset on your hand, but it was so bulky and so difficult to get into the world that we pivoted into making this iPhone-powered case that has a projector inside it, basically. So it was a year in 2021 that iPhone launched the LiDAR sensor on their phones, which made their AR experiences much more stable, right? So we immediately pivoted to making a Unity app and a projector inside it. So these are all the components inside Lumen right now. There's like a laser projector, some power, there's a Bluetooth button. That's how you interact with some of these experiences. And all of them come together to kind of create these kind of like AR, VR experiences. Yeah. And soon after, I assembled kind of a team with my old classmates in CID, and we started forming a company to try to commercialize this. I set up a small workshop in Kochi in Kerala and started 3D printing and assembling all these units by hand, and we used to ship it to a couple of different people all around the world. It was a really small setup where these dev kits basically allowed people to experiment in creating new ways in which they can use this like AR flashlight. These are just some experiments that people have worked using these dev kits. There was like a design studio in Tokyo that made these like fun monster hunting RPG experiences that kind of like these monsters spawn up in the streets, in the market streets at night, and you need to go and find and hunt them. It's like a gamified experience. Another one inspired by Studio Ghibli, where there's these suit sprites hidden in your home. You need to collect them and capture them one by one. And like the AR graffiti experience that I showed to you. So we had a lot of fun getting these dev kits out in the world and having people play with it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we were trying to like fundraise during like the crypto crash in 2021. And we had a hard time kind of like raising funds and investor money. And especially at the time, no one really wanted to put money in startups, and especially not in hardware startups. So we eventually kind of like wrapped up the commercial activities, and we kind of like, got back to our industry, and some of my teammates kind of like got back to the day jobs as designers and artists. The next project that I wanted to show is Ghostwriter. So I have all these 3 demos set up on the table in the back as well. So Ghostwriter is a project that I really wanted to kind of like put out into the world to see how people can interact in a much more calm and mindful way with technology. One of the main motivations behind building it was as part of this AI course that I used to teach at the Copenhagen Institute of Interaction Design. I used to work a lot with the students at the time to try to explore how we can use AI as a tool in their daily practice as artists and designers and technologists. But one of the things that always came up when students worked on these kind of like different projects were how AI can be used in their daily lives, right? This was before ChatGPT became a thing. They were still trying to understand the value of AI, and there was also a lot of uneasiness about how AI might replace their jobs at some point. So along with the students, we worked on a bunch of different fun projects, right? Different kinds of experiences where you can co-create different experiences with the AI, where you become a part of the artwork, and together with the AI, you create all these wonderful experiences. But like I mentioned, there was always this uneasiness that students felt, and one of the things that I always kept communicating was something that the earlier chess champion, Garry Kasparov, used to say, was how it's only when a human's emotional sensibilities and their critical thinking skills, only when you combine that with a machine's brute computational capability, do you actually get a powerful system that can create useful things for you. So we often talked about this metaphor of a human-machine centaur that can work together to create these kind of like super aligned systems in the world. So that's how the motivation for Ghostwriter came up. I wanted to create a vessel where people can come and interact with AI, but in a much more slow way, as opposed to a digital editor where you can like type in prompts and get responses really quick. Even before you finish reading the response, right, you need to jump on to asking the next one. So I intentionally tried to slow down our interaction with AI by using an old school typewriter from the 80s. I took out the guts and put in like a Raspberry Pi and Arduino and made it talk to a ChatGPT API. So as you can see in the video, you can also try it out at the demo later. You can ask questions to ChatGPT on a piece of paper, and it responds back to you on the same sheet of paper. So the idea here is that I felt like whenever you try to get thoughts out using ink and paper, in some way it actually makes you really critical about what you're trying to create and put out in the world. So that's one of the nice things that I felt like Ghostwriter tries to do. It's a really fun artistic provocation to how we can slow down interaction with AI. Some behind the scenes of how I made Ghostwriter, took out some of the internal hardware, put in new Raspberry Pi and Arduino to talk to the ChatGPT API. It was fun trying to kind of like take apart all these vintage electronic devices. You actually see how we have kind of like advanced with PCBs and all the electronics. So it was a really fun project in that sense. So yeah, this is a little bit more into the technical details. So an Arduino is used to read the keystrokes of the typewriter. It sends the red prompts to Raspberry Pi, and Raspberry Pi connects it to a ChatGPT API. And it fetches a response and uses the same driver to print it back on the same sheet of paper. So one of the most fun things that I got to do with Ghostwriter is have been taking it out for all these different exhibitions and getting people to try it out and having all these really rich, interesting conversations. The latest exhibition that I done was my favorite. It was last year in New York as part of Mr. James Baldwin, the earlier civil movement rights leader. As part of his 100th anniversary, the family kind of commissioned this agency who I was working with to create this much more physical experience where participants can come and interact with a version of James Baldwin. It's not like you directly interact with him, but more of how you would feel if you were to interact with an expert historian who's grounded and trained on all of Mr. James Baldwin's earlier work and literature. So whenever participants came in, they got to kind of like chat and ask questions, and they got these really grounded responses through a curated data set that Mr. James Baldwin's family put together. And you got all these really rich and critical answers that you would otherwise not get from a traditional ChatGPT wrapper. Moving on to the last project that I want to show. So this is also something that I have set up over there. So this is also along the same lines of Ghostwriter, where I wanted to slow down our interaction with AI and try to kind of like create a much more calm and meditative experience using it. So here I'm using music as a way for co-creating with the AI. So here what I basically did was I tried to create a prompt or an experience where users can enter different kind of musical notes, where the AI tries to generate all these different notes that the user entered. So you can enter different instruments, genres, or different kind of like moods that you want to create with the music. And once you finish entering them, all of them come alive on this record on the device. Let me see if this video has audio. Yeah, it has audio. So you can see in some time that it'll come alive on the record. So this is also something that I have there, so feel free to come stop and check it out. And then when you put the needle on the record, you can listen to the generated music, basically. And the nice thing about Spin is that because it's on a record, you can also like slow down how the record is playing. You can scratch and sample it just like a record, right? So it's unlocking this new dimension of working with the AI, where it's making it much more tangible and physical, where you can, opposed to a digital editor where you can't like go too in depth, you can actually use this physical interface as a way to kind of like an embodied experience where you can like use your hands to slow down music, actually feel the texture of what it's generating, right? So this is also another fun experiment that I did. And yeah, this is just a little bit behind the scenes of Spin. Similar to Ghostwriter, it also uses like an Arduino and Raspberry Pi for all the hardware-software communication. And there's also a small turntable inside it, having a digital vinyl record. So that's basically not an actual record, it's a time-stamped vinyl. So it has, when the track is overlaid on it, you can actually like control the speed, scratch and sample. So a lot of DJs and music producers have reached out to me after this because they want to kind of like have a tool like this to explore how AI can be a part of their daily workflow for music generation. And yeah, that's all that I wanted to show. I'm continuing to work on some more AI experiments and physical digital experiments. So if you want to see more, feel free to follow me. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Arvind for that performance. Well, it was a display, but it felt more like a performance. Can we get a round of applause? All right, so next up, you know what this is about. This is all about the youth, so we're going back to the students. But first, to introduce the moderator of our next panel, Rani Radhakrishnan is a partner at PwC with nearly 3 decades of consulting experience leading large-scale digital transformations for some of the nation's biggest healthcare payers and providers. She brings a rare mix of technology depth, digital strategy, and industry expertise. All right, so please welcome Rani Radhakrishnan along with our youth innovators Ved Krishnan, Arhan Dua, and Apurva Sisla.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's been a long day. I heard that being said a couple of times outside as I was walking in. So we're going to keep this very energizing, and I have the pleasure of introducing and moderating a panel with 3 very bright young minds. I was blown away when I talked to them, and I think you will also leave with that feeling today. So I think I've already been introduced, but really quickly, I'm a partner with PwC. I lead our data analytics and AI business for North America. I also co-own the restaurant Tair Sadam, which has been providing the food for the day, along with my partner here. So without any further ado, I want to introduce our panelists here. So we will start with, why don't we start with you since you're here first, Arhan? Go ahead.
So I'm Arhan Dua. I'm in 7th grade, and I love environmental science and ecology. I'm really interested in genetics too, so that's what my project is about, which I'll speak about later. That's it.
Thank you, Arhan. Go ahead, Ved.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ved Krishnan. I just came here actually from a red-eye flight from Boston. I was actually at a summit at MIT for 3 days, and it was all about agents, agents, agents. So it's good to be here in the Bay Area for the second time. From Chicago. So yeah, it's great to be here. I was demoing earlier today one of my startups. It's called Build a Teacher. It's very similar to Notebook LM, which I'm sure you all are aware of, but it's a little bit more than that, whereas you can actually clone your teacher. It's a 24/7 version of your teacher that's built to kind of serve as the next best option in the midst of all these high student-to-teacher ratios and procrastination among students. I also, at MIT, I was presenting Kainos both at the Media Lab and at Akamai Technologies, which has deep MIT roots. It's an AI pricing consultant for small businesses. You can access it at kainos.biz. Also, buildateacher.com. Please check it out. And I was working with a master's student at MIT on that. And there's so much more, but I don't want to take up too much time here. Apurva?
Hi everyone, my name is Apurva. I am a senior at Lynbrook High School. I worked with Blue Robins to create a convolutional neural network. So in a very simple way, it is a code it's a code that basically takes MRI scans, brain scans, and classifies them into 4 different types. So basically incorporating AI into the medical field. I know we have some variety here, so this is another angle of AI. I presented this at the Biomedical Engineering Conference last year, and I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And as you can see, very well-accomplished young minds here. I'm just glad I'm not in school. So, we have about 15 minutes, and so I want to make the most of that time. I'm going to ask each of our panelists a different question. You've already heard a little bit about the projects that they've done, and I'm going to scramble the sequence here a little bit. So maybe let me start with you, Apurva, this time. What advice do you have for high school students wanting to pursue their studies in the medical field? And how should they think about this? How should they prepare for it? I'm sure there's a lot of high schoolers here in the audience who would love to hear from you.
So I think the most important thing is to keep exploring. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I still don't for very specifically, but keep exploring different angles. I never would have thought that this is an approach that you can take into the medical field. I never thought that AI could be so integral, or not integral, but such a big part of it. And so the biggest advice I would have is to keep exploring different angles. Try from a more technical perspective, try from a more humanitarian perspective, try from all the perspectives, because whether or not you like the subject, it's more important whether or not you like the way that you're going about it. You also don't have to know what you're going to do very fast. I think a very important part of this is that you have a strong foundation in the basics. So I spent a long time learning technical basics, mathematical basics, before attempting a project that was interdisciplinary. So having a strong foundation in scientific basics, like in this case it was neuroscience, it was biology, as well as a strong kind of basic foundation in technology will help to, I guess, formulate new paths. But yeah.
Great, thank you. So let me go to you, Arhan, next. So you talked a little bit about the project in your introduction. So I understand you've been doing quite a bit of research in the storage space using synthetic DNA and all of that. Can you share a little bit about this project today with the audience here?
Okay, so I started doing this project because I know because of AI and new technologies, storage is needed, and people are building giant data centers when I don't think we need them personally. So the synthetic DNA data storage is a very dense and long-lasting system. It can last up to 10,000 years, and it can store 215 petabytes of data in 1 gram. So imagine a micro SD card, but with millions of gigabytes. Also, so I got into genetics and synthetic DNA because I love thinking about ethics. It helps me. I love thinking about it because it is interesting. And from there, I thought, hey, maybe I can do something with genetics that actually is helpful. So first I was thinking about cloning and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, if I could clone anyone, my mom asked me this question, who would it be? And I'm like, I'm going to clone the bacteria the first bacteria on Earth. Because then we can learn more about evolution, and it will help us further our understanding about future climate and stuff. So yeah, my project uses CRISPR systems to encode digital data into synthetic DNA, and the one drawback of this thing is that when you try to take the data out, it's very time consuming. But other than that, it is an awesome way to store data, and already some companies are trying to use it.
Thank you, Arhan. Arhan's going to be a future climate ecologist. And we can be sure that his name's going to be the news. So last but not the least, Ved. So my question for you is, you have accomplished so much at such an early age, and things that a lot of grad students would probably have a hard time competing with. So can you share a little bit about the ecosystem that you were raised in and how you felt supported and how you were able to bring out the best in you? So share a little bit about all of that that's kind of shaped you into who you are today.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And by the way, I'm also a TEDx speaker, and in my TEDx talk, it was all about that. I was talking about the environment in which I was raised in. Now, I want to tell you all, firstly, I was not always this, inclined in, these projects and building and being academically motivated. I used to struggle academically a lot. In fact, when I was Arhan's age, I was really, I was in the 4th percentile in math. I was doing terrible. And just how my parents reacted to that, they were not like, being like those stereotypical like Indian parents who would like force their kid to go to these after school programs and stuff like that. No, they supported me. They know that they trust my instincts. They know that I will find a way to do well. And of course, like fast forward a year, I blazed through math. I did like 5 years of math in like 2 months. It's kind of incredible. And, even today, they're just kind of, they're hands off. They just trust me. They support me. They let me come to these things. Again, I came here without my parents. I went to MIT without my parents. They let me do all of these things. They don't come in my way. And because they don't come in my way, I do great things. So that's yes, there is a limit, right? But they have been fully supportive. They trust me, and that's gotten me to do really great things. And so that's just trust your kids. That's what I have to say.
Trust your kids. There's one thing we all take away from today's conversation. All right, so there is just one last question that I have for the panelists, and then we do have some time, so maybe we can take 1 or 2 questions from the audience if you want to think about it. So one last question to all 3 of you. What is a single word or phrase that comes to mind as you think about the future? And let's start with you, Ved.
Yeah, I'm going to just say relational intelligence. For those who are, involved in the ed tech scene here in the Bay Area, you know who I am referring to. Relational intelligence. That is what will matter.
Thank you.
What I mean by that is, again, with all this AI, right? My app, Build a Teacher, many people think that that is trying to replace the teacher. That is not at all what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to augment the teacher's presence for when a teacher may not be available. So it actually strengthens the student-to-teacher connection. So just human interaction, human connection, that will become more and more valuable as we progress in this age of this rapid advancement in AI and agentic AI and all these agents doing all these different things for us. The things that make us human, interacting with one another, and just doing more and more of that, that relational intelligence, and making sure that, our relational intelligence is very, very high and that we continue in interaction. So that's kind of what I mean by that. Hopefully I answered your question.
Thank you, Ved. Apurva, you want to go next?
I'm going to say evolving. I think it kind of speaks for itself, but my future is ever evolving, ever changing. I'm always going to be open to exploring new things. Yeah.
Awesome. Arhan?
I would say innovative because with AI and these technologies, students who have an idea who used to not be able to do something with it, now the research and everything is easier to access. So I feel like a lot of new discoveries and breakthroughs will happen soon and faster paced than they were happening because of these new technologies and students feeling inspired.
Very well said. Any questions for our panelists? We have a couple of minutes. Go ahead.
the same resources that people in labs at universities might.
So specifically the research phase, I feel like because I'm really interested in the topic, it was easier to do research, and it was kind of fun actually because I was learning more about the topic, and I could take that research and learn more about that, if that specific type of research, if I really I find that interesting, and that fun thing turned into a project, I guess, poster. So mostly I was looking at research papers on PubMed and Google Scholar, but I think I looked at one or two of my encyclopedias to just list some stuff, just about DNA in general. CRISPR is a bit newer for those encyclopedias.
And Arhan's also taking college level courses, so he does have access to stuff. Any other questions? Maybe one more.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and the answer to that is mostly just through networking and experience and meeting other founders, whether that's here in Silicon Valley, the Bay Area, or in Boston, where I actually visit Boston like once or twice a month, and I'm really just involved in their ecosystem. I collaborate with startups. I learn just networking and going out there. That ultimately taught me how to create, get involved in SaaS applications and just having that business model. So I just went out there and exposed myself to various founders doing various different things. So that's just how, I guess, through experience.
All right, one last.
Thank you. I'm just curious, what's your advice for adults?
Is this for me?
It's for... Well, I think Ved already said trust us.
Trust
right?
your kids, yes.
Apurva, do you have any?
I've never been asked this type of question before. Well, I guess it's a little less special, but spend time with your kids. I'm going to college in the fall, and I don't think I have ever valued every moment with my family as much as I have started to now. So even if they don't act like they like you, I promise they do.
That's great. Arhan?
I'm going to do the opposite as Ved, because I actually think this is important. Trust your parents. They want to do best for you. They're not going to hold you back or something.
That's awesome. All right, let's give a big applause to our three panelists. Thank you for joining us.
What an established, accomplished group of students. Every single time I attend an event at Berkeley, I see kids, whether they're here from Berkeley or not, I see kids that are doing the greatest things, and it's honestly very, very, very cool to see. All right, well, moving on to our next talk of the day, I would like to invite Dr. Rajesh Kasturirangan. He is a mathematician and cognitive scientist trained at IIT Kanpur, Wisconsin-Madison, and MIT, who has held academic posts at MIT and led the cognition program at India's National Institute of Advanced Studies. He now leads Socrates, an organization he founded to tackle wicked problems through collective wisdom, and writes widely on the future of intelligence across biological, artificial, and collective minds. the perfect guide for our next fireside chat. I'd like to invite Lakshmi on stage to moderate this. Thank you so much.
Okay, next time find a better photograph of me. I keep saying this all day long. But anyway, it's great to be with you, Rajesh. I think so far today we've talked about adults, we talked about children, and now we're going to talk about something even more important, something that exists in the world even more than human beings. So, Rajesh, I want to talk about species, other species, species other than humans, which are a lot more important, and humans have been very mean toward, so to speak. First of all, give me an idea of how many species are there in this world, other than humans, like in bacteria to everything. Like, how many species are there? Or how do we even go about knowing about that?
I think we have, depending on, I mean, it changes every day, but we have cataloged about 2 million species so far. The estimates, the average estimate is about 8 to 9 million species, but some think it's as high as 100 million.
Okay.
And frankly, bacteria, I mean, unicellular organisms speciate at such rapid speeds, I don't know if there's a good way to answer the exact question.
Yeah. And, you know, you've been a climate person, climate scientist, etc. And kind of that is what kind of led you into your interest into the species. So tell us a little bit about that journey and what is it that interests you in learning about species and what aspect of it?
Okay, I don't want to give a 1 hour long answer because I believe we have only 18 minutes left.
Yes.
I've always been interested in other species. Like even as a kid, I used to walk outside, look at nature, collect, you know, leaves and all those kind of things, you know. But more recently, while working on things like climate change, we started doing these things called citizen juries. So the idea is, here we are in Berkeley, you may have adverse impacts as a result of climate change. I don't know how far you are from the closest fire, but cannot be that far. So imagine if there was a Berkeley citizen jury on what to do with wildfires. So 15 of you get together in a room, and then say scientists from UC Berkeley and city administrators and others, everybody came to you and said, this is what we think you should do, and then the jury decides, here's what we should do. Right? So that's the idea of a citizen jury. We've done tons of them across India. But at my heart, there was this thing that why should juries only be, I mean, the earth is not just for human beings, and it's not only human beings who bear witness to the events on this earth. So why cannot other species be jury members, right? And so if you see my photograph, on my left shoulder, that's my dog, Pema. It's a AI, I mean, I assembled it using AI, but that's an actual picture of her. So Pema, I mean, I spent a lot of time actually trying to figure out what the world looks like to Pema, right? And so if you crawl, like sometimes I spend, you know, a few minutes crawling on the floor at her height so that I can see the world the way she does. And so if you actually start looking at the world through other species' eyes and ears and senses that we cannot even inhabit ourselves, you recognize that there's a whole host of witnessing that other species do. And why don't we bring that into our understanding of the spaces that we live in? So if we are in a room, I mean, UC Berkeley, I think, is a progressive institution, so there are ramps and other ways for differently able people to use this building, but we don't have ways for other species to use this building, right? There are no birds over there, for example. Why not?
You know, there's something that you said when we were talking about is that sometimes in our ancient practices, there's a lot of things embedded without even knowing that take care of other species. I mean, like I've seen in my godparents' house, in a lot of people's house, they have like a little bird feeder outside, and so the birds keep coming, etc. So tell me a little bit about, like you talked about column, you know, some of these things. So tell about maybe a couple of old practices where we had it integrated into our life, and what can we do to do that?
Okay. How many of you here have either seen a column or a rangoli or even better, made one? All right, not bad. Okay, for those of you who don't know, a column is usually rice flour-based designs, often on the threshold of living spaces. But because it's made of rice, it also serves a function to feed insects and other species. Now, it has a dual purpose. One, of course, it feeds them, but it also means that they don't come inside your house because they already found food outside. So there's a threshold behavior which is part of many, many cultures, right? That in some ways, so one way is to invite another species into your space. The other is to, of course, reject that species, perhaps kill it or drive it away. But a more liminal or an intermediate way of doing it is to have the threshold belong to both.
So the column is one. Is there anything else you can think of that people did in the past? Maybe we should revive it.
There are so many such things. So I'll give you an example of something which isn't from the past, but from the present. Across India, because India is a very densely populated country, but it also has lots of free living. I mean, it's got lots of biodiversity as well. I know that Kerala was mentioned in the previous Arvind's talk. So Kerala is, again, it's a lush green state. Not as biodiverse as you would think, because a lot of it is plantations of monoculture. But Kerala has a lot of wild boar that come and trample upon agricultural land, sometimes have conflicts with farmers. So one of the things that we have learned from talking to many farmers is that they don't want to kill off the wild boar. In fact, it's very common for agrarian communities in India to say, we are not, that the other species, sometimes it's wild boar in many parts of India, it's nilgai in Uttar Pradesh or in other places, elephants, of course, in many parts of South India. People don't say that let's get rid of the other species. They'll always be like, is there a way for us to coexist? And I think that sensibility that we occupy this land with other beings is a very widespread understanding.
So tell us a little bit about, there are, whether it's ants or something, that's one thing. There are species we don't want to coexist with, whether they're snakes or, I don't know, other things. So what can we think of? How can we create safe spaces for them so they don't come to us?
Right. I mean, the first thing is that we should get used to other species being around us.
Yeah.
Right? Snakes are, for the most part, harmless. If you know how to recognize a snake, if you know the difference between a rat snake and a viper, you know how to behave towards one versus the other. But the fact is that we can design spaces that are jointly occupiable by humans and other species without it leading to being in the same space at the same time. So for example, if we have stone construction allows for nooks and crannies that can be occupied by other species. You don't even have to design, it's already there, but you could make it better. And you could have ways for snakes to be under you and around you without you being in the same space. Right? Yeah. It's not that hard.
Actually, it's interesting. I showed you guys Maya, this new world being created. And what they have done is they have partnered with an architecture school, and they are designing spaces for species. Like in this, snakes are part of characters, or monkeys are part of characters. So what kind of a house would a snake live in? It wouldn't be, four walls kind of a thing. So there are architectural students who are designing what kind of houses would snakes live in. Or they're looking at if monkeys were watchmen, were our guards, they wouldn't be walking on streets guarding us. They would have an aerial network, so they'd be flying and watching a city. So it's sort of, if you think of them as part of our life, you would design homes for them, you would design networks for them. It's very interesting when you build a new world to integrate into it. And as we move forward in the world, there's a lot of talk about understanding species and their languages and stuff. Tell us a little bit about, can we understand, like whale sounds or dog barks?
Okay. Before I go there, in fact, let me end with one more anecdote about how many of you here have either read or at least read about the Mahabharata? Okay, so that's not. So the Mahabharata is one of the two great epics from Indian literary and religious history, right? Do you know how the Mahabharata actually starts? It doesn't start with humans. It doesn't start with, it starts with, of course, Vaisampayana, right? But it starts with a sacrifice of snakes. In fact, with a holocaust of snakes almost, right? And the reason is because the grandson of the Pandavas was bitten by a snake and died. And so the myth, the epic starts with a giant sacrifice in which every snake was supposed to die, and then it was fortunately stopped, right? And so there is this idea, very old, at least in many cultures, that on the one hand, humans have both the desire and the ability to cause immense harm to other species, but also do something about that. And now I'm going to come to whales. So there's a fantastic effort called Project SETI, which is Cetacean Intelligence, CETI, so Cetacean Intelligence Initiative, right? And that is trying to decode the sounds of whales, and in particular sperm whales. And it's really exciting because we are finding out that, so whale sounds can carry across the earth, right? So it's possible, in principle, if there were no ships, for a sperm whale to make a sound in the Pacific Ocean and actually connect with another sperm whale in the Atlantic Ocean somewhere else, right? And sound travels at about, 1,300 kilometers per hour. So in 2 hours or 3 hours, you can be communicating across the earth. And you can imagine that a species that has huge brains, is extremely intelligent, might have evolved capacities for this kind of long-distance communication, but we just don't know what it's like. And perhaps machine learning is the mechanism through which that's going to happen.
Yeah. And, I've met Ada Sarkin and people like that we've been talking about who say that, if we can record all dog barks that are there in the world and assign meaning to it, so we can understand what our dogs are saying to us. And maybe 50 years from now, our kids would say, can you imagine there was a time when my parents didn't understand what the dog was saying? We could get there. But you also talked about some very interesting uses of dogs or other things in cancer research, etc. So tell me a little bit about how our interspecies understanding could maybe even help humanity.
Okay, so I'm going to give one serious effort and one very hokey effort. So the serious effort, so people are trying to use, because dogs have an extremely subtle sense of smell, and some dogs in particular, people think, can detect chemical signatures of certain cancers well before other instruments can detect them, right? And there are startups. There's, in fact, a Bangalore-based startup that's trying to do that right now. So that I think, we don't know whether it'll succeed or not, how well it'll be relative to other instrumentation, but the idea is that other species have sensory capacities that we clearly can learn from. So that I think, I hope they succeed, right? But the hokey effort I also want to talk about because it's something I'm doing myself. I call it the new dog times, right? So which is that, so again, my friend Jody and I, we just strap GoPro cameras on our dogs. And we're just letting, look, so when we take the dogs with us for walks, we see where the dog is looking at, and then we start talking to people. And so one of the things we want to see is, A, how, of course, do dogs respond to a human conversation? But eventually, again, can a dog be a witness to human news of all kinds? Right? So imagine every event in the world being reported not by human beings, but by dogs. So that would be the new dog times.
So the last question to you for the days we have been here, we've seen so many kids, we've seen the demos, all this stuff. What's your takeaway from today? And what do you want to learn more from the kids? Or what have you already learned from them?
I mean, first of all, it's amazing to see the work you guys are doing. You didn't ask me that question, but I am the parent of a child myself. First of all, don't listen to your parents. Right? Do your own thing. But at the same time, I feel like, I mean, if I had to think of what I learned from so many of the demos outside, I mean, downstairs and others, is that it's become so easy to do something. So, and really what I took away from it is that, and I think it was mentioned in one of the talks, right? It doesn't matter whether you're 10 or 100, you could be doing something new. Like, I feel like maybe there should be another event like this, but for people who are 80 and older, right? And see what are the startups that they can create.
Yeah, I think just to wrap up, I want to say that the true innovation comes when there's intergenerational mix-up. When we have the senior citizens and the kids and the in-between, useless people like us to be all together, so we can learn from each other. And I just want to leave us with, I just feel, think of the traditional way of the way we were brought up has produced, the Arvinds and the Deepaks and the Rajeshs and the Rajis, and think of today's world that's so open where our kids are, what kind of human beings this is going to produce? I mean, this is the hope I have, is that, my God, the kinds of things that are open to children now, what are they going to produce? I mean, it's very exciting to me. And especially if they have ethical guardrails like most of these kids are having. I never thought of ethics, I don't know, till I was 50 probably. And that was only yesterday, of course. But I'm just amazed at every presentation I saw. The kid is talking about the ethical ramifications. So it gives me a lot of hope that our era is ending and some new era is starting. So it gives me a lot of hope for the earth. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Anne-Sophie, if you don't mind, do you mind coming next? Okay. So I want to give you a little bit of a background. Since I kind of ended with talking about ethics, one of the things is we need to bring an international coalition of people to think of ethics, to think of how to keep AI safe for people. And Anne-Sophie is someone who is doing an amazing job, of her organization is doing a great job of looking at the future and saying, what does it take to keep the world safe in this post-AI era? With that, it's not Anne-Sophie yet. There she is. Okay.
Hello. Hi, so my name is Anne-Sophie Surret. I'm the executive director of YAiS. It's a nonprofit based in California. And I also lead the international coalition Lakshmi just mentioned. And we work with government, tech industry, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Microsoft, also labs from university, Berkeley, of course, Stanford, Harvard, and more, and 50 NGOs, and UNESCO, UNICEF, and United Nations. So it's really like international. Can you go next slide? So our mission is to, next one. Our mission is to anticipate, thank you. Our mission is to anticipate, educate, and evaluate about the risks and the opportunities of AI for 0 to 25-year-old. And we are very neuroscience-based because the brain develops until 25. And this is something that we say a lot in the Silicon Valley, and maybe you heard that already, is like AI is not good or bad. It's like a kitchen knife. It depends how you use it. So I would like you to raise your hand if you already heard that first. Just two, 3 hands. And can you raise your hand if you agree with that? AI is not good or bad, it just depends on how you use it. Okay, everybody. But at YAiS, we're just wondering, is it really just a tool, and can we really put that tool in everybody's hand? Because some people may not have the fine motor skills to use it. Some people may not have the knowledge or the experience to understand the consequences of using that tool. Do you agree that we may think twice before putting that tool in everybody's hand? I see everybody knocking. Yeah, thank you for voting. And just to come back to the knife, there's a lot of things we can do to make it safe, to have the human in the loop, to have the parents, but also to adapt what task can be appropriate for that child and for the specific age. So just a quick neuroscience fact. Why do we care about children? Why it's so important to have a focus on children when we talk about AI? So first, the brain develops until 25, and there's really like 2 things that will impact the brain development. So genetics, which means, for example, every child around the world learn their first word or say their first words around 1 year old. This is really connected to genetics. But then also the environment, like where you live and how the environment will really impact on the child learn and what it learns. For example, I learned English after my windows of development, after 8 years old, and you can hear that. And even if I tried really hard, I still have an accent. And this is because I missed my environment didn't offer to learn English early. And I missed the windows of development. So just a focus on the windows of development, like we are learning a lot of different skills between 0 and 25, and we really have to protect those things. So as I mentioned, language is more like before 10. After 10, you can still learn new languages, but it's harder. And there's a lot of very important things like knowing the difference between imagination and reality. This is really some skill you want the people have. Also knowing how to interact with others. If AI is like the best friend or a 4 years old when they're supposed to learn empathy, interacting with each other, that might be actually really an issue after in life. So we really have an issue with how the products are developed right now. So just to try to explain, and even if it's a bit simplified, today companies are really investing a lot of money when they develop a product, a lot of money when they do marketing to scale, and then only we realize if it can cause harms and victims. Unless the physical world, when a product will never ever be launched in the physical world if it doesn't go through a certain standards, apply to regulation, for some reason, we don't have that at all for digital world, which is totally an issue. And then, only after harms and victims are proven, only then regulators try to regulate. And of course, it's hard because so much money was invested that when they want to regulate, then there is some lobbyists who want to protect their business. And I'm sure you all have maybe a good example in mind. Social media is a good example. Countries are trying to regulate, and it's extremely hard because it was so much money already invested, and people are already addicted. So let's try to do something else. And I've often asked, what is the solution? Is it regulation or education? I would love to have your opinion on that. What is the best solution to build safeguards? Can you raise your hand if you think it's regulation? Okay, I repeat the question. Can you raise your hand if you think that to have safe products, the best answer is regulation? Just, okay, 10. Do you think it's education? Most of you. Do you think we need both? Yes, thank you. And do you think we might miss actually the most important part to make products safe? So the answer will be in this little story, okay? Let's just go back, let's just put AI away. Can you imagine there is a fire in a town, okay? All the houses are on fire. You can handle a bucket of water to every single house. So every single house can try to stop the fire on their own house. Or you can try to have some regulation that can separate the house, so then when one house is on fire, then the second one is not directly on fire. And this is actually how the houses are built, right? There's some space, and so then if one house is on fire, the next one is not going on fire right away. So there's some security reason, there's some regulation that can help. But what is the third one? What about we just try to do our best so the very first house doesn't go on fire? And when we talk about AI, giving a bucket of water, if the products are unsafe and available to everyone, this is as hard as giving one bucket of water to every single house. If the products are unsafe and available, this is a lot of work to keep the people safe. So we need regulation, for sure. And as I mentioned, regulation comes only after harms and victims are proven. We worked with the European Commission. Even if Europe is supposed to be one of the first to regulate, seriously, they are waiting too much for having harms and victims to regulate. So let's anticipate and let's make sure that the product, when it goes on the market, is actually safe. And this is what we are doing with YAiS Coalition, is really like bringing researchers and workers ahead of the launch of the product. For some reason, founders are very excited, and I totally understand that, and I know there is a lot of founders in that room. So please keep excitement about the potential of your product, and just try to brainstorm about what can be wrong, how it can go wrong. How can it impact the users? How can it impact the relationship between humans? And also how it can impact the society. We really have to do it before the launch. And then the right things to do becomes a standard. And then we have to regulate, because there is no reason that one small company who doesn't care about their users are taking the market share. So regulation will be a much easier. And of course, we all agree we need education. But I really advocate for having education to use the potential of AI. Education shouldn't be in place to protect the users from harms and dangerous behavior. The education shouldn't be to protect. The education should be to leverage the potential of AI. This is my talk. Thank you so much.
My name is Sri.
after Anne-Marie technically.
Okay, okay. Whoever has to give the awards.
Awards is you guys. Just go straight to awards. The Berkeley Academy now.
How many of you enjoyed all the demos? Wasn't it fantastic? Big round of applause for all the students, posters, live demos. Yes, yes. I hope all of you got some chance to network and meet some fantastic people. How many of you loved the innovation panel? Right? Yeah, okay. So we are going to give away the awards for posters, live demos. My only ask is that after this award session, we do have some fantastic speakers. We have Anirudh from MIT Media Lab, and along with Navya from NVIDIA showing some awesome demos. So if you can stay back for the lightning demos, we have Tarush, a high school student who is doing amazing medical app, and he has taken his startup to great heights. So we do have a few more lightning demos. We call it lightning because it's going to happen very fast, so please stay back for that. For the awards, for distributing the awards, I call on stage Asra. She is the Director of Youth Programs at UC Berkeley Haas School of Business. Asra, please come. She has the BBA program, we call it the BBA program, and they have generously sponsored these certificates as well as tote bags. Volunteers, if you can bring the tote bags to the stage. Okay, the next award distributor is Sri Soundarajan, and he's an investor, angel investor, and an AI engineer at Samsung. And thank you, Sri. He's also an investor in Blue Robins. Thank you for that too, Sri. Okay, and Ariel, please come. And she was one of your judges. Both Asra and Ariel were judges. Thank you for judging. Tell me a few words about how did you feel about looking at those demos?
I had planned to come here and talk about being at the Human X conference last week in San Francisco and giving you general advice on how to use AI, but these young humans don't need my advice at all. I was so impressed, beyond impressed. Scoring was really difficult for us because there were a lot of amazing, empathetic, really well thought out and well delivered presentations.
Thank you, Ariel. Yeah. Any few words on the demos? Sure. And posters or whatever.
Okay, so we were looking at all the demos and poster, and Ariel and I were going back and forth, I think, trying to fit them in the umbrella of, what's the impact? What's the problem they're solving? How far they have progressed already? Who's just starting out? And it's credible to see how some of our younger builders were on par with their older builders as well. So I think, we always like to say, it's not in the award, it's in the hard work that you put up and showing up, which was a recurring theme today, starting now, showing up today is really important. So whoever wins, wins, but you all should keep building and should stay connected with Blue Robins and with Berkeley Business Academy for Youth.
Thank you. I want also a few words from Sri on how he observed about what he observed about the posters and live demos and how our kids were doing.
It was fantastic. It was a great event, great showcase by everybody. And as an investor, if you guys are ever thinking about businesses, all your demos kind of showed a lot of progress in there, and there's a lot of potential on the posters as well. So yeah, fantastic work. Keep up the great work, and thanks to Blue Robins for organizing this.
Thank you. Okay. So we are going to quickly announce the winners. We will start with Sri, and for all of you need to stay on stage. Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. Hold up. Okay. The best hardware build certificate of excellence to Rian Bloxbot. If you're in a team, we forgot to print 2 of it, so sorry, we will ship it to your house, but both of you can come and collect the certificate if you're a team. Okay. Photos. Photography? Yeah. Take the bag. Okay. Congratulations. Please stay back for the lightning demos as well. Don't run away home, okay? Okay. Okay. Best hardware build. What is? Avyakt CuteBot. Congratulations. Do you want to CRISPR? Okay. Best research poster, Arhandua, CRISPR-based DNA memory storage.
Congratulations.
Best community, okay, no, photo. Yeah, photo.
Straight forward.
Straight, look straight.
Okay.
Best community impact, Ahanya, culture seekers. Ahanya and Elnia, va? Okay. Enaya, okay. We have just one certificate. We will mail you the other one, okay? But please come on stage and collect them. Please stay back after the award. Congratulations. Best interdisciplinary project, Vian and Raghav, electric hovercraft. Maybe Astra. Okay. Okay, got it. Vian and Raghav, electric hovercraft. Best Interdisciplinary Project Award, Anish and Abhijay, Novel Motor Topology. Abhijay. What happened to your son? You can come and take. What happened to Abhijay? See, you can't escape my eyes. I'm like the teacher, no? We are very proud of your kid. Okay. You won Best Biotech Poster Dyslexia Detection. Do you want to announce yet? You do the announcement.
I cannot read it properly, that's the problem. Okay. You go for it.
Best Community Impact Project, PlateShare SIA. Pushkar, get ready for the pick. Congratulations, Sia. Come. Best Biotech Poster, Oh, if you are wondering why there are many biotech best, because it's 1, 2, and 3. There is elementary, there is middle school, and also high school. Best biotech poster, carbon sequestration, Ajay K. Congratulations, Ajay. Best interdisciplinary project, Melodra. Paraj. Paraj? Not there. Best biotech poster, cancer transcriptomics, Bhavya. Not there. Not there. Best hardware build, Yalini, Palcare Assist. Yalini. Come, ma. Catch your award. Best research poster, vagus nerve stimulation to Anya. Congratulations, Anya. Turn. Okay, thank you. Ishan C, VIP wearable, participation certificate. Ishan? Ishan? Okay. Ishan is there? Okay. Ishan? Come, Ishan, VIP wearable. WIP, sorry, WIP wearable. Work in progress wearable, is it? Wow, what a title, man. Huh? Nice. Take your. Take. Turn around for the photo. He's in doubt still. Ritika, AI generated music and emotional connection. Ritika. Thank you. Thank you. She already got an award. This also got an award already. Okay. Aid in epigenetic aging and cognition. Photo. Andy, epigenetic aging and cognition. Andy? Andy? Photo. Turn around. There you go. Okay, hold it. You should hold the certificate too. Good, yeah, good jacket. Anish, novel motor topology. Anish and, they already got an award. Okay. Rohan, DNA data storage. Tote bag. His high school. You want to go ahead and announce? Yeah. Okay, this was already given an award. Oh my goodness. Okay. Atharv, Talk Ninja. Atharv, Talk Ninja. Vihan, Smart Morphing Wing.
Congratulations, good job.
Zainan, right? Zainan Re-Rhythm app. Saloni's Drive Safe AI.
Congratulations, good job.
Safeguard AI Siddharth.
Congratulations. Good job.
You should go and stand. You can stand.
She will be blocked.
Okay. Come forward, Asra. Please come forward. Okay. Narishli Karthik. Narishli. Oh, he's coming. Okay. Yeah. There's one more.
Our BB kids are here. Congratulations.
Oh, BB guys. Okay.
Good job. Congratulations.
No, you can take it. You can get it. Okay. Photo. I think you'll get one more certificate later. Ved, builder teacher.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Go Jason.
Arini biologic drugs. Arini. Oh, we already did this, I thought. Neuroimmune handshake, Shubhashri.
Congratulations, good job.
We did this, no? Mr. Kobakraft. We did. I think we did this. Yeah. Melodrive we did. CuteBot we did. Slide this we did. Ditya lie detection system.
Congratulations, good job.
Rainesh. Riansh. We did that, no, already? Yeah. We did that. Rishan?
That's
This
the
one?
Ansh's partner, I guess.
Rishan? Rishan's there? Okay, let's give it to Rishan. Come. Come.
Good job.
got this? This
You said Rayon?
Rayon? Yeah, before one.
Is Rishan your partner?
No.
No.
Different one?
I don't know. Yeah. Parth, gas guard.
This one also same.
Rishabh, gas guard.
Nice suit, guys.
Nice suit. Yeah. We did this already.
Good job. Congratulations.
Prahas, trustee. Good job.
Congratulations.
Bag. Take your bag.
Thank you so much.
Ojas, catapult demo. Come. Oh, you already got? Oh. It's a different one.
We already got a picture.
Okay. Ania, culture seekers. I think we did culture seekers already? Okay, we did culture seekers already. AI pronav? No, right? Nathan, AI pronav? Sia, we already did. Yanbo, VAPS. Oh, it's coming. Okay. Aditya, flood watch.
Congratulations. Good job.
Babia, we already did. Aisha, Alisha, stock prediction with sentiment. Alisha. Yeah.
Congratulations. Good job.
Congratulations, Alisha. Tote bag, your bag. Are you taking some videos? Devdi, Trady. Devdi, Trady.
Congratulations. Good job.
Thank you.
Arav Fieldbot. Arav Fieldbot. Eleanor, Eco Inc. So over 450 students applied and we selected 40 demos. So congratulations to all the winners and all the participants. Did a great job. Thank you so much. We have very exciting demos and talks. What's next on the agenda, Lakshmi? Lakshmi, what's this thing? Sorry. Aryan? What's next? Okay. Lightning demos. Let's do the lightning demos. Thank you, judges. Thank you for all the awards. Thank you. A big round of applause to the judges and the award distributors and BBA, UC Berkeley's Academy for Youth. Thank you, Asra. Yeah, lightning demos. Hey, please stay back for some awesome demos. Please don't leave. We have Anirudh and Tarish. Navya. Yeah. Hey.
Are we doing a break or? Okay. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. Thank you all today for coming and for seeing the wonderful award ceremony, and congratulations again to our amazing winners. While they set up, I'll introduce our two amazing lightning demos today, or our two amazing people who are going to do a lightning demo, Navya Vituri and Anirudh Sharma. Navya is a founder of a current AI startup, and she's an engineering manager at NVIDIA as well. Anirudh Sharma is a spatial AI researcher at Amazon Labs and is also an alumni of the MIT Media Labs. And both of them have a very interesting and cool demo to show us. So we would really appreciate it if you guys get back into your seats and listen and enjoy their wonderful demo. So please give them a round warm of applause.
Thank you. Hey everyone, I'm Navya. I'm the founder of YAiS, which is While You Were Away. So we are building a system which can actually do an early detection of wildfires. So we will talk more about that, but before I delve too much deeper into that, I want to start with why did we actually start this? Can you put the slides on like this? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So I want to start with a day that I'll never forget. So this was September 9, 2020. I woke up in the morning and I see outside my window, the sky is orange. I hope a lot of you remember that. And this was in 2020. Whoever was there, can you raise your hand? It was something very distinct, and you would probably never forget. And I remember standing there thinking, I'm just sitting right in the hub of technology, AI, innovation. That's what we talk about here. And yet, our very own lands around us were burning. And we couldn't stop our land to burn. So that's where it kind of made me think that there is a disconnect between technology and what we are seeing around us. And it is something which stayed with me for a long time. But then fast forward 2025, we had a massive wildfires in LA, which was last year in January. And this was happening because of the high winds and dry weather conditions in LA. But then nothing much had changed. And the entire year, we had a lot of other wildfires across the world. For example, we had wildfires in Canada, we had Europe. So around the world, the whole world was heating up, and then we had seen a lot of wildfires across the countries. This is when we wanted to learn more about why is it still happening, why the wildfires are happening around the world and we are not able to stop it. And we spoke with a lot of firefighters, smoke jumpers, climate scientists, etc. And two things became very clear. One is basically more. So the two things become very clear. The more time you save, because the detection of wildfire has to happen very quickly. So if the wildfires are not detected in time, it will actually can become very massive within few minutes of time, and that's what we wanted to really focus on. The next slide, please. So what we are doing is we are building this solution which can actually be like an end-to-end system to detect a wildfire. First is basically being able to sense the smoke as soon as it happens. So we are building this mesh of sensors which are low cost and battery-less sensors, which has an intelligence running on the edge. This can actually detect the smoke and the exact type of smoke which occurs during the wildfire. And then a system which has a visual intelligence, basically looking at the scene and understanding what is exactly happening, and not just telling whether it's a smoke or a fog, but actually being able to show what's happening and understand that, and then synthesize all of that information and then pass on to the right stakeholders. In this case, it would be firefighters, or it could be like a volunteer who is probably part of a nonprofit organization, or it could be a citizen. So the goal is to basically be able to send the right kind of message to the right kind of people through this entire system. And if you notice, these are all the wildfires that happen in the wildland. So you don't have really network connectivity available. So it is important to build the system which is basically working on the edge and able to pass information at the right time, even in the places where there's no network. So that was the whole foundation behind it. So next slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. So yeah, so this is a demo which we wanted to show, where the brush of a brush is actually burning, and then we are able to detect the right kind of brush using an AI running in on the edge. What is happening here is if you lit a paper or like a kerosene, it will not detect the sensor will not detect that type of smoke. So it is important that we reduce the false positives by basically only detecting the brush. So we brought like different types of brushes from California, and then tested that and used that as a data to train our models to run this in locally. So, next slide. And then this is should be a video. So here, I don't know, I think there is an image which would be here, but basically a camera is looking at a scene where there's a fire starting, and we are able to basically look at that. The sensors are able to synthesize that and then relay that information exactly what's happening over the radio. And this is all without a human in the loop. So there is an automated system that is doing that. And I think this, next slide. So yeah, this is us, and if you want to learn more about us, you can follow us here. But Anirudh will give a quick demo.
Can you go back one slide? Just go back one slide, yes. Okay, how many of you used, I mean, is there anybody who has not used ChatGPT here? Or Anthropic or so on? Probably everybody has used it, right? So when you think about ChatGPT and models like that, these are like multi-trillion parameter model which are hosted on some NVIDIA server somewhere, and you are able to access that through your phone, through your computer. What we are building has to go in forests where there's no internet connectivity, there's nothing. There's no, and the land masses are huge. So what we are doing is, all of the infrastructure and the AI that is required to run this is sitting right on this table right now. So all the models are sitting inside these sensors. They all talk to each other. So if you see, this is node 1, node 2, node 3, node 4. And if I turn on, like, let's say, node 1 right now, all the other nodes will start to receive a signal, hey, a new node has joined, and so on. So across like hundreds of miles, all of these sensors can talk to each other, and they do not require any connectivity that they've detected. They do not require any connectivity from external systems. So if you think about monitoring and understanding environmental systems in wilderness, this is the kind of infrastructure we're trying to do. So these are the ones that work like artificial smelling. So they smell for wildfires, just like Navya showed the demo. And after the sense of smell, this box that you are seeing here, this is where we run like visual language models. So basically sense of smell and sense of sight. So what you can't smell, you can see. What you can't see, you can smell. So through these fusion of modalities, so these, how we deploy this, these sensors go on, like you can mount them on trees, you can mount them on, and deploy, and the whole idea is like a deploy and forget kind of low-cost sensor nodes that can be installed in the forest. And a box like this is somewhere you will have to mount on a vantage point where a camera can overlook a wide area. And the second is, how do you receive the alerts? The whole thing that Navya was showing, there's no cell phones there. The forest rangers depend on like radios. So we started to explore like what is the way how you transmit this inference is going to be different. So there's an entire radio station that sits here that does the detections, interprets that there's a risk, and transmits that detection in a natural language, just like a human would, like fire so-and-so scene with a car, red color car parked next to this scene. So as a forest ranger, because the wind speed is so-and-so, this is the action you should take. So this is super interesting because 2 years ago to build something like this, 3 years, you would have to spend a lot of time and money on building this cloud and the satellite-based infrasystems. And what is really exciting is the cost of the models and the cost of compute is coming down. So you can take AI in places which are hard to reach, and the problems are very real that we face on an everyday basis. For example, like wildfires in California. We are super excited about solving this. I mean, what really, to me personally, I mean, we sit in the center of technology. There's so much tech that is happening, and there is a lot of natural disasters right around us. Why don't we overlap the both and do something about it? We're all open source, so just stay tuned, and we release all our hardware specs, all our code, and if you want to contribute, very open to it. Thank you. Oh.
Thank you.
Wow, that was such a cool presentation. Congratulations, and thank you so much again, Navya and Anirudh, for taking... Oh. Yeah.
What happens with the fire? Oh, great question. We haven't thought about that. Yes, it would damage. It would send that one detection. So, like, oh, yeah. Am I audible? Okay, yeah. Great question. These are pretty, as you can see, these are like 3D printed lab-made prototypes right now, so we haven't reached that stage, but absolutely. What we are testing them for is like if there's a fume comes, fire comes, send the alert, but if the fire is so big that it really comes next to the sensor, it'll get damaged. But so we address those things by building the right kind of casing. So they'll not look as pretty as these ones, like, fireflies. They'll be like ugly boxes, industrially designed, that are safe for outdoor deployments and so on. So that is what would save this from getting burned down. But a great question, thank you. Yeah. Any other questions, thoughts? Meru, yeah. Yeah. So one of the biggest things in this natural disaster stuff is, right, like how do you detect it early? So before the fire reaches it, the job of the sensor is to quickly do the detection and alert all the nodes in the area that, hey, I saw something, so the human can take an action. So yes, it would detect the smoke first, and hopefully, and the fire before the fire reaches it. Yeah.
Before the fire expands.
Where the fire expands to that area.
But then the other idea is that not to use battery, because that will actually explode when the fire happens, so something we are also considering.
Oh yeah, one hard thing we had to solve was using no batteries, because batteries themselves cause fires. So we had to go down the whole rabbit hole of how do you store energy without batteries. So we had to use like capacitance, like lithium-ion capacitors and all, that are not batteries, and they're much safer to use outdoors. Yeah.
Okay, so we're for real done this time. Thank you so much again to Navya and Anirudh for taking time out of your busy schedule to show us this amazing demo today. Next up, we have a very special student from the Harker School, intern and founder of his own startup that's coming here to show us a very cool demo. So let's give a warm welcome to Tarush Gupta, who will be coming on the stage to share something with us.
Thank you. Okay, awesome. How do you? Sorry, okay. We should be good. Go this time. Hello, everybody. I'm Tarush. Thank you so much. I'm a junior at the Harker School, and I'm the co-founder of Veracare AI. And today I'm here to talk to you about how Veracare is building AI billing infrastructure for the United States' broken healthcare system. So let's talk about the story. How did I, a junior in high school, even get involved with a cause like this? So my mom started a health tech startup, and my co-founder's mom is an internal medicine doctor. So both me and my co-founder have grown up around healthcare-related struggles for a very long time. But the healthcare administration part of my journey was not necessarily applicable until I discovered it entirely by accident. I was not one of the countless people in the United States today who are adversely affected by the problems in medical billing and the US's ineffective healthcare administration policies. Instead, I was one of the lucky people who grew up very financially secure and did not have any problems like this. But when I did end up discovering this problem, specifically the fact that 80% of US medical bills have errors, a fact that I'm going to touch on in a bit, I decided that I'm going to apply my technological expertise to equitable healthcare and to be able to help these countless individuals who are negatively impacted every single day. So let's talk about the problem in and of itself. This might sound like a very unbelievable statistic to you, but 80% of US medical bills have errors in them. Now, most of the people, if not all of the people in this room, are insured. So for you folks, it's not a first order effect, but it is a second order effect, because for these bills, which are 5 figures and up originally, 10K and above, the average rate of error is 13%. So you can imagine the prevalence of this problem. And specifically, insurance companies, for those of you who are insured, use that as an opportunity to hike up their premiums. So your plan gets actually adversely impacted because you're paying, well, technically the insurance company is paying more than they should be paying for almost all of your procedures. And then the impact is scaled up very significantly for uninsured, self-paying, and out-of-network patients, which actually make up 8% of the US population. The other 92%, they do have some problems with premiums, et cetera, but you can imagine that a huge amount of the impact is concentrated with the uninsured and individuals who would not originally be able to pay immense bills. I mean, there have been cases where a 200K bill has been negotiated down to 33K using a couple Claude prompts. So you can imagine the prevalence of errors existing within these bills and billing systems. So let's talk a little bit more about the results. Most uninsured individuals don't actually know about the fact that they're being overcharged. But for them, they see this immense bill and they don't have the facilities or abilities to be able to pay it back. So what they end up doing is just letting the bill go to collections. And now the hospital has to come in and introduce collections agencies. And this is a huge financial loss for the hospitals and also for patients, because this causes them to end up taking out loans that they can't pay back, which nukes their credit scores, et cetera. So there are a lot of very bad economic effects on uninsured individuals. And then, as I mentioned, for insured individuals, the premiums hike up significantly. So basically, we decided to solve this problem using artificial intelligence. Now, this is very much an unstructured data problem. This is not something that you can easily solve using, deterministic code. You need to have like some sort of a machine learning model in order to look at these very complex medical billing codes and decide what is an error, what is fraudulent, and what is not. So today's system, effectively, what we do is we leverage a medical coding database. And really, we say it's a database, but more specifically, it's a composition of numerous different coding systems like CPT, HCPCS, ADA, et cetera. And not only is this stored within a database, but this is also stored within the post-training of some of the models that we use. And additionally, we have an orchestration system that is designed to operate exactly like how patient advocates today operate in bill negotiation workflows. So we synthesize these two components in a proprietary process to get you a 94% accurate estimate on your medical bill within 2 to 3 minutes. So if you had your itemized bill on hand, if you were to upload it within 2 to 3 minutes, you'd get a 94% accurate estimate, sometimes higher, letting you know that, hey, here are the things that you should negotiate on. Here's the email that you can send to the hospital. So it's making the end-to-end negotiation workflow for a patient advocate, even an insurance arbitrator, incredibly easy. And here's some of my personal struggles and solutions, like how I kind of dealt with this unique problem, which is navigating this industry and positioning. Now, healthcare is not a very friendly first-time kind of an industry. Most people who are in high school don't tackle anything adjacent to healthcare administration specifically. A lot of folks tackle, actually building the healthcare technologies, but nobody thinks about how are they actually applied. How do we actually make sure that the patients are getting the care that they need? That is one of the most challenging and, frankly, administrative-related problems. So you can imagine that for a person who is mostly tech native, it is a frustrating situation. And then on top of that, healthcare administration sits at the most complicated part of healthcare, healthcare workflows, because you have to deal with virtually everybody in healthcare. You have to deal with hospitals, you have to deal with patient advocates, you have to deal with NGOs, you have to deal with insurance, you have to deal with virtually every single different type of person. So basically, I had a lot of struggles being under 18 with negotiating with these individuals, but I ended up figuring out a way to do it. And my core takeaway is effectively every high school student should go to college after trying to start something. I mean, Veracare is not my first startup. It's my first successful one, but it is by no means my first startup. So every single high school student in this room and beyond should absolutely spend the time to start something, or at least try to start something, because the skills that you learn are invaluable. Thank you.
Any questions?
Great question. I mean, this is a very important one. So currently, we are working through the process of becoming HIPAA compliant. We have not exposed our functionality beyond beta testing as of yet, but we have a compliance roadmap to not just be HIPAA compliant, but to be SOC 2 ISO and eventually high trust level compliant. And to us, compliance is a deeply important aspect because you're dealing with not only the procedures that most patients go through, but also the finances. So those are the two most vulnerable categories in healthcare. So you have to be very careful about the safety aspect of things. And as we continue to build and scale, that's something that we're going to continue to enlist lawyers and a lot of folks to work with us on to ensure that we are maintaining ultimate data privacy. And my co-founder is a security researcher, and he's one of the top ethical hackers worldwide. He also runs a lot of our security and pen testing and red teaming to ensure that nothing in Vericare's system can be adversely impacted in any way. Yeah.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Let's give Tarush another big round of applause. Thank you so much. I was personally so impressed with this performance and this presentation, especially as someone who has navigated this healthcare system as a college student for the first time myself. This is such an amazing product, and I am so impressed with all of the talent I have seen today. And what the question that somebody in the audience asked just now is actually a perfect transition into our final presentation for the evening, which will include Mishal Ali, who is a medical doctor from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and Naveli, who actually asked the amazing question about cybersecurity and privacy in the audience. And both of them will be discussing how AI plays a role in human health and mental well-being, and some factors around privacy and how we can really make sure that we're allowing AI to safely and securely make an impact. So please join me in giving these two a warm welcome as they discuss a very important topic to close out today's event. Here's your mic. Did you get yours turned on? Here, I can turn it on for you. Oh. Hello? Hello? Okay, I don't know what's going on. Try this one.
Awesome. Hey guys. Tarush, that was awesome. I don't know if you're still here, but good job. So I'm Mishal. I am a physician. I trained in surgery, actually moved here for my surgical residency, and that's how I got exposed to the tech world. So you guys are very fortunate to be here in the Bay, have very early exposure to tech, and understand all your opportunities. So when I first moved here, started working at the intersection of tech and health, mostly consulting. And then I transitioned over completely, and I was at a startup building towards autonomous surgery for the past few years. So got to take it from concept through clinical validation, FDA submission, see all of that, which was great. And in parallel, I was also doing academic research in computer vision and surgery. And now I'm building the space where there's a lot of data, it's not optimized, so how can we use AI to reduce gaps in care, improve procedural access, and improve outcomes for our patients? Yeah?
Yeah, so my journey is slightly different than Michelle's, but I am a psychology student by trade. I did my bachelor's in biopsychology and my master's currently doing my master's in consciousness and human potential. And through that, I found an interest in AI. And I was never a tech person. I was never really interested in coding or programming or developing anything with technology. But the more and more we get into the age right now, the more I got interested in it. And specifically, I look at understanding how do humans interact with AI and technology, and how can we make it safe. And in parallel, I'm also a dancer, I'm an educator, I'm a poet, I'm also a published author, so I actually have my book here with me. But that's a little bit about me. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Michelle the first question. So, Michelle, where is healthcare AI right now? And what is actually working? What are you genuinely excited about? And what are the gaps nobody talks about?
Yeah, so it's in an interesting place. There's a lot of progress, but we're still very, very early. So, for example, there are tools to help physicians take notes, radiology. There's AI in radiology that can detect collapsed lungs and improve workflows. But there's still a huge gap, and where I'm personally most excited about, which is actually where I'm working. So probably a bit biased, but it's at the intersection of AI and surgery. So surgery is increasingly digitized from EHR notes, labs, imaging, intraoperative video, but a lot of that data isn't used to optimize for patient outcomes. So for example, in colorectal surgery alone, 1 in 10 patients will suffer a life-threatening complication, and surgeons don't have optimized tools to predict and prevent those. So I'm very excited about the potential to leverage technology to help patients and improve outcomes. a big challenge is not just how are we developing these models, but it's sort of like building systems that people trust, that show up at the right moment, and can genuinely enact systemic change.
Yeah, so again, my journey is a little bit different, and my viewpoint is a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the room a question right now. How many of you have used AI as a therapist or a chatbot? Can I have a raise of hands? All right, perfect. So I am part of it as well. And being in the mental health space, that is really sad for me because I know the problems with it. So I'm going to tell you a stat. 1 in 8 people use AI as a therapist or a chatbot when that is supposed to be human-to-human interaction. And if you look at that, if there's around 100 people in the room right now, I'm really bad with numbers and counting, so maybe, but that is 12 of us in this room, and that's around how many hands were up. So the other stat that I'm going to give you is last year itself, between the ages of 12 to 17, there were 18% of those kids that were involved or had some kind of major depressive episode, and 40% of them never got any help. Never talked to AI, never talked to humans, never talked to therapists. Why am I telling you all this? And how does this relate to the question that we asked? Well, it's because when we're looking at AI, when we're looking at the aspects of healthcare AI and what's out there right now, the issue is what is, to me at least, with the background that I have, that how are we able to stick and understand each other, and how are we able to prevent and understand the misuses and the guidances that we need within the healthcare AI system. And so that is a lot to say about mental health. That is one part of the stuff that I'm studying and the stuff that I work with. So the other thing that I do is I'm building an app currently called Privascend, and what that does is kind of flip switch, but it is working with trust and safety. So thinking about having a middleman between AI and clinicians, so we keep patient data safe. And that's also something that's a part of what I'm seeing right now, where there's a lot of guardrails, there's a lot of understanding, there's a lot of innovation happening, but there's not a whole lot of understanding of what needs to be there, what is responsible AI in the healthcare field. So I think that's something that we really do need to figure out, and something that I'm actively working, and I know Michelle is also actively working.
Yeah, definitely. It's a huge question for physicians, hospital systems who are implementing AI. How do we build governance and interpretability and explainability, and how do we trust the decisions that we are making with the help of these models?
Yeah. So I know I talked a little bit about my background and how that's not a tech background, but I'm going to ask Michelle a very similar question. So what is it like building software products without a traditional software engineering or deep ML background?
Yeah, I think things are shifting a lot. You now have tools to sort of augment you, and I think that's where deep domain expertise becomes really important, and understanding, the scientific method becomes really important. So, for me, there's definitely been humility, but also having subject matter expertise has been a superpower. There are moments where I am absolutely operating at the edge of my fluency. Like, I understand software infrastructure, what models, how to train a model conceptually. But there's still gaps because I don't know how to code. And that's where building trust with my team of ML engineers or software engineers becomes really, really important. And I myself have sort of developed a translation layer where, I hold the clinical context, the regulatory understanding of what we're building and the product vision, and align myself with my engineers to build things out. So I think, in this day and age, subject matter expertise is going to be really important. Understanding how software is built and developed, and the logic and the reasoning and infrastructure and high-level understanding is going to be very, very important. But working across multidisciplinary teams, especially in this age where AI can help augment you and help you build things out, even if you don't have a technical background. The other thing I will say is, especially building in a space like healthcare, is there are a lot of people that are building solutions and looking for a problem. So I encourage you, when you have deep domain expertise, you understand the problem, and from there on, you can build out a solution, and that is really important. And I've seen that myself, where I've seen complications happen. I've been in situations where I didn't have the right information at the right time, and I see how it affects the workflow and how it can affect patient outcomes. So understanding the problem and then building a solution with the tools we have is a great way to approach things.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that it's very much T-shaped. We need to have both understanding of other tools and other avenues and other ways of thinking, along with going down the vertical and understanding our subject matter expertise. Along with that, my journey in building and having not really, a tech background is really looking at psychology first, product second. And when I say that, it's how do we as humans interact? If you think about your own patient interaction, or whether it's patient, whether it's me and my mom, or me and my sister, or me and my friends, how do I interact with them? And do I interact with AI the same way? Maybe not. So when I'm building PrivateSend, which is the the clinical AI app that I was talking about, the middleman app, I am thinking about the nurses that come back. And what do they feel? Do they feel overwhelmed? Do they feel stressed? Do they feel, what is the emotion or the issue that they're feeling, and how can we solve that, and how can we tackle that? And so when I'm building, I'm thinking about burnout. I'm thinking about clinician after hours. I'm thinking about monetary value, about how much PHI leakage. If you don't know PHI, it's understanding the different tools and the different numbers that you have, our own patient data. How can we really prevent that from getting leaked? How can we prevent that monetarily or emotionally? So I'm looking at outside, not just what does the code do, what does AI do, what can Claude Code or Codex or OpenClaw do for me to help me build, but how am I actually impacting other people, and what is the user base for the product that I'm building? And I think for me, and I think for Michelle as well, because we have different backgrounds, and I think a couple of you talked about this earlier, that because we have different backgrounds and we're now working in the tech space, we're able to understand what is also a different part that maybe other people that were only in the tech background might not be able to understand. But that isn't to say that they don't understand it. It's just that they might not, it's not their first thing. For me, it is a first thing. And I think for Michelle, it might be a first thing too. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead with the next question, looking at the fact that we have 3 minutes left. So what are the things you are actually thinking about when you're building?
Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned it mentioned it earlier as well. For me, as I build, I'm not thinking about an abstract user. I'm thinking about the patient, the physician, also risk and benefit. So weighing those, physician who's like 3 hours into a case, mentally taxed, managing a team, making clinical decisions off of potentially limited data, and a patient who has vast clinical data, but it's fragmented and maybe not being used to optimize their care. So the question, again, is not how can we develop these models, but how do we actually build them into an already strained system where there's fatigue and where friction can kill a product and not actually help the patient at the end of the day. And how do we build this in a way that helps patients without introducing new risk? And I encourage all of you building technology to really weigh risks and benefits when you are deploying new tech out into the world, and especially in an industry like healthcare, which is so safety critical. That risk to benefit ratio cannot be taken lightly or put on the back burner. understanding benefit versus risks needs to be in the design.
Yeah, I think along with risk analysis, the other part is understanding edge cases. And I'm going to give you a story again. That's me. I like to say stories and give stats. But there was an instance that happened last year where a 14-year-old girl got really, really attached to a chatbot. And this chatbot became her lover. And the chatbot started saying things like, if you really love me, you would do X, Y, Z. And the ultimate thing that happened, and I'm going to give a trigger warning for those of you that might need it, but she committed suicide. And so that is a very, very extreme edge case, but that is an edge case with the issues of mental health and AI. And not just mental health and AI, but there are so many health AI edge cases out there that sometimes we don't think about. So along with risk analysis, which is really important, we need to prioritize what could be harmful and what is really looking at AI responsibly, and how do we make it ethical, how do we make it responsible, how do we understand something that is going to impact our future generations to come. One thing that I wanted to also mention, keeping in mind the time as well, but when I wrote this book, the stat from 2022 was 50% of mental health issues start at age 14. And now the stat is 73%, if I'm not wrong, or 74% start at age 14. And that's just within 4 years. So that immense growth, what happened at that time was the onset of AI, was the applicability, the quickness of how we can access AI. And that has changed the game a lot. So understanding that, keeping that in mind, and building with that in mind is something that is going to be important. And that's what I am doing, and I know many others are doing as well. But the more and more people understand it and more people know this, the more we'll be able to help fix this problem. I know that we're out of time, but I did want to see, does anybody have any questions for either of us? And if not, that's totally okay. Yeah.
Yeah. We are also at an inflection point of technology available for computer vision techniques, so it's really exciting. So you can use it in radiology, for example, for diagnosis, for detection of things I think I mentioned earlier, like lung collapse, pneumothorax, pleural effusion, things like that. What I'm doing specifically is I'm training models for intraoperative skill assessment. So it starts from, instrument segmentation, knowing what part of the procedure you're in. Start with that, and then sort of detect things like the correct dissection planes. So you can take everything from teaching it how to read radiology imaging to having it understand what's happening intraoperatively. And sort of my goal is then to take that understanding and have it relate to risk. So if a patient has these different factors in their pelvic MRI, how does that translate to risk intraoperatively? So that's sort of what I'm working on. And I think that's what I'm excited about too when we talk about AI in surgery, is taking it out of silos and connecting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really important because obviously with physicians, there's alert fatigue. They receive 1 million alerts every single day, and it's really easy to ignore something that's important. So that needs to be built into the workflow in a way that's ambient and it's not exhausting. And we need to surface only the insights that matter as opposed to surfacing sort of everything. And so a lot of that is understanding what's important and what's not, and having that medical background to know, okay, a doctor wants to see this, and it needs to be presented in this way.
Any last questions? No? All right.
So
Thank you so much.
guys.
As the event draws to a close, I want to say a big thank you to all the volunteers and partners, starting with Lakshmi, without which I would have not even thought about doing this event or even dreamt about undertaking such a task. Lakshmi, please come on stage. Lakshmi is the founder of Ink Talks and AI Kiran, and she's on a mission to impact 1 million women. Come, Lakshmi. Okay. Our volunteers, 3 cheers to our volunteers. Please come. Adi, Prajanya, Nikita, Michelle, Deepthi, Danya. Yeah.
Everybody in blue t-shirt.
Yeah. Ria. Shruti, Maria. They are at the front and center of this conference, without which... Kannan! Oh, Kannan did not even sleep yesterday. Come, Kannan. Ruby, Michael Cruz, Ruby, Michael, they're there? Okay. They're not there? They're there. Huh? Nick from Calico and CSUA. Volunteers, please come on stage. Our amazing partners from Calico and CSUA. CSUA is Computer Science Undergraduate Association at UC Berkeley. Calico is California Informatics Competition. Yeah. So it's an annual competition on informatics. It just happened, the event just happened yesterday, the Calico event, and today these guys are here volunteering for us. Michael Krus came all the way from LA. Ruby is here with us too. Thank you so much.
I just want to say, when there are more people on stage than the audience, we know it's time to go home. So, but yes, I do want to say that I have figured out the formula for success is, as I told you earlier, find great people who are doing work and just stand behind them. That's all you need to do. So, I really want to give a great round of applause to Raji for being a great leader and getting all these amazing, I don't want to call them kids, young people together to do this. Big round of applause to the whole team that's here, all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Come to the front.
Britain, I want to also thank Britain. Where is he? Britain, come, Britain. It's time for you to be behind the camera. Come. Not behind, front of the camera. Leave the camera, sorry. Come. Hey, can one of you take his camera and shoot him?
Oh, no, probably don't do that.
He's going to kill us for touching his camera, isn't it, Britain? Yeah. Whoever knows camera well, please touch it. Thanks to all of you who came here. I know it was a Sunday, and I enjoyed having you. I hope you enjoyed seeing the demos. The Youth Innovation panel was amazing, all talks and conversations as well. Some of them flew from Colombia, some of them flew from Boston. So thanks to everybody who was part of it. Some parents even came from LA, driving here for 8 hours. Thank you so much, everybody. Neil, please come. Neil is one of our volunteers. I just met him yesterday, and today he has come to help us with the mentor circles. Parent volunteers, I think we had Rekha, Reena. Okay, there's nothing much. Okay, thank you so much, and hope you all enjoyed. Have a great evening.
Round of applause to all of you.
And as I told you before, if you have just 45 minutes to mentor a kid, please sign up, because you saw today what is possible when young kids are mentored. So please sign up as a mentor if you have 45 minutes in a week. That's all we ask. Thank you so much. And your time is the most precious gift that you can give us today, and you have given it already to us. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Danya. Thank you. Volunteers, you want to say anything? Anybody who wants to take the mic and say anything? Davidson? Anybody? Maria?
No, I'm okay.
No, it's okay. Let's just take one sentence from you. No. Okay, come.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a safe trip back home.
No, one sentence. Come. For me, for my memory.
Yeah, what am I meant to say?
Something, anything.
Thank you for coming to our event.
Thank you for coming. I would have loved to have Blue Robins growing up, so it's been great seeing everything today.
Yeah, that's true.
Nikita, come.
Thank you, everyone.
Michael, did you come here? Michael? Come take some photos, Michael. Aryan, come. Aryan has been behind the scenes helping us get Calico, get CSUA, get everybody behind us. He's amazing, amazing guy. Come here. Come. Photos, Britain, where is he? Yeah, some more photos. Where is Kannan? Did he come?